The following is brought to you by Stephen Terry Pest Elimination. If it's scary, call Stephen Terry at 713-477-0047.
Live from the Stephen Terry Pest Elimination Studio, this is the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast.
Smells like a gym bag.
It's strong, but you'll get used to it. Now, introducing the best damn podcast crew in the biz. Here's your host, Nick Stevenson.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whatever time of day it is, wherever you may be listening in the world. Welcome to episode 64 of the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast. I am your gracious and humble host, Nick Stevenson, and 2/3 of the greatest podcast crew in the biz are here today, starting with the Queen of Naomi, who I hope has a mic that's live.
Queen of Naomi.
I'm sorry, the Queen of Podcast. I was thinking about your mic. The Queen of Podcast, Naomi, is in the building.
The Queen of Naomi too.
I could tell your mic was off, so my brain was like completely fried. Everyone stare at the B-roll right now.
I am so upset with myself.
Man, you came
right now.
dressed in business attire and everything. I thought you was gonna be ready.
This jacket looks like this jacket looks like doo-doo brown on this camera, and
It looks like Deer Park Maroon.
That voice you're hearing is Josh Beard, the bearded producer, and he is at the Upscale Roofing producer's desk.
what it do?
What's going on, man?
It's going.
All right, man. It's good to be back. I want to say that once again, you guys killed it last week. Very entertaining show, and I got to listen to the whole thing as I was driving to Dallas. And a couple spots, I lost reception out there, but it was a good show. I really enjoyed it, and you guys sound like you had a good time.
Always.
I wanted to, there was when after my phone call and I hung up, there was a couple like. I guess FOMO is fair. I hope like not in a negative way, but like I was like, oh, I want to talk about this too because as you guys were developing the conversation. But I got to experience the show, what it's like when my wife is downstairs watching. I realized I discovered that she talks like she's with us, but she's not. Like she responds to the things that we say. So like I'm driving and she's like, oh no, this and that. And I was like, what? She's like, oh, I do this all the time when I'm watching downstairs. I'm like, that's cool.
We need to secretly put a mic down there
That would be funny.
and
That
not
would be
even
really
say
funny.
anything.
Or a camera. Yeah, that would be great.
Yep, that's happening.
You just gave it away, man. Now she's gonna look for
She'll
it.
never know.
Oh, she don't know.
man.
She don't know.
But guys, welcome to episode 64. We are chugging along, getting ever so closer to that 100th episode. If you guys want to support the show, once again, there are 3 ways to do so. You can go to the Spirit Swag store, spiritswagstore.com, purchase all of the merch that you need to rep your favorite podcast and style. Also, if you look in the show notes of the video you're watching or the podcast that you're listening to, you will find a link to our tip jar. Please leave us a tip. If you're enjoying the show, we're not going to ask you to leave a tip just because, hopefully you're enjoying it though.
Good though.
You could, if you just wanted to be nice. I mean, it'll help you get into heaven, I'm sure. But anything that you give to us, we are going to put back into the production of this podcast so we can keep bringing you good content. And we are still doing local sales of our cold brew. If any of our Deer Park, LaPorte, the good parts of Pasadena, I mean the parts of Pasadena with the good roads. Yeah, I just got new tires, and I don't want to mess up my suspension.
Yeah,
so
for real.
if you live on the Dookie roads, I'm sorry, you'll have to come to my house and pick it up.
Yeah.
But we're selling the cold brew, and that's a hot ticket item right now. It's and it's good stuff.
Because
so
it's freaking delicious.
yes, and it's got a badass label too. So that's part of the problem, or part of the solution and reason that that's happening. All right, let me go down my notes here. Make sure I didn't forget anything. Cool, that's good. Make sure you follow us on all of our platforms and subscribe on YouTube. Hit the notification bell, all that jazz. And then wherever you listen to your podcast, please follow us. And we would love if you'd leave us a review. We were just looking at our Apple Podcasts, all you iPhone users. We haven't had a review in like a year, so let us know how we're doing. preferably good, but if it's bad, we'll take it. You know.
Yeah, no, don't you mess up our 5-star review.
Yeah, we have 5 stars right now, so please. We might have just fucked up. We might have just fucked up.
You should have said the rating out there.
Yeah, somebody's gonna go fuck that up on purpose.
Don't you do it. I'll find you.
For real, for real. But yeah, we appreciate everybody being here. We're gonna have a good time. Today's episode is entitled "The Pursuit of Sloppiness." If you've not been living under a rock for the last few days, you probably know what we're gonna talk about. But before we do that, let's get to headlines with Naomi.
Headlines.
All right. A little update on the Russian-Ukrainian war. Several hundred Russian soldiers were forced to hastily withdraw from the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine after suffering quote-unquote acute radiation sickness from contaminated soil, according to Ukrainian officials. So, can't say I'm too disappointed about that. Students of a New Jersey preschool and kindergarten center were sent to the hospital Wednesday after they were served milk cartons filled with sanitizer, officials said. An investigation into a possible contamination of milk at the Early Childhood Development Center revealed that milk cartons were filled with sanitizer used to clean the machines that filled the cartons. So that's fun, letting your kindergartner drink hand sanitizer.
That's scary.
Yeah, no, that's scary. And they're all hospitalized. So
What?
Yeah.
How old were these kids again? I'm sorry.
Preschool and kindergarten.
Yep.
Yeah, I would be livid.
Yeah.
And by that I mean I would hold them down and force hand sanitizer down their throats. Dredging contract has cleared the way for
So glad you said that.
USS Texas restoration in Galveston. Our beloved battleship has numerous leaks in the hull, requiring that the ship be closed, and she will be moved to a dry dock to undergo major repairs in Galveston. Preserving the warship has never been questioned, as the battleship Texas is one of the Lone Star State's biggest tourist attractions. What is questioned is where the ship will head after those repairs. There's 3 cities right now competing for the honor of our battleship, and I'm not happy about it.
I feel
But-
like one of your headlines last year was that they were moving it to Galveston.
Yeah.
Is that not
been up there
happening?
a couple of times.
Yeah. So the 3 cities, Galveston is still one of the options for it to stay there. Another one is Beaumont. Yeah, I don't know why.
Sorry,
and
Beaumont.
Baytown. Baytown is close enough to Deer Park, but then why wouldn't you just put? I don't know.
Yeah, but then you might get
mad.
shot.
I get mad about it.
I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
The 14-year-old teen who fell to his death last week from an amusement park ride in Florida said he was turned away from 2 other rides at the park because of his size. And this was according to his cousin. So a lot of what you're not seeing in the news right now is, so this kid was 14. He was 6'5", 340 pounds. This
Yeah.
was a big 14-year-old, like definitely larger than average.
Yeah, that harness was like just like barely over his chest.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He was there for a
Yeah.
football program. He fell from the Orlando Freefall Drop Tower, which takes riders up and then drops them nearly 400 feet at speeds that reach more than 75 miles per hour.
Should have never
So
been allowed on that ride.
No, and there's some, back and forth talk about whether or not he was actually allowed, or there was definitely a miscommunication there. But that's like pretty much my worst fear.
Yeah.
Like falling out. Yeah.
As a person who's probably too big to ride roller coasters myself, I wouldn't even. I mean, he's a kid, so
14.
he's gonna try. He wants to do what his friends are doing. Like it should have been
Yeah.
upon somebody. And I'm from somebody who's been kicked off of a roller coaster for being too fat. I know that shit's embarrassing. And I mean, I was an adult, so for a kid, I know that would be hard. But
But
I mean, at least he'd be living to tell the story. You know,
Yeah. That's
sad. Really, really sad.
Yeah, that's gut wrenching for me. And yeah, boom, that's it.
Oh, good
So
job.
while this fades out, there was some more stuff that came out about that too. Was the fact that he had been denied multiple rides during the day, and so there was no reason why he should have been on there. 2, if you're not squeamish, is that the word, squeamish?
Squeamish.
The video is out there. I've seen it. It is probably the most heartbreaking thing you will see.
Yeah,
No,
I'd
thank
never
you.
watched that.
Yeah.
Like the video of him hitting the ground. I've seen the slow mo of him flying out.
No,
And that was hard enough.
Yeah, there is nothing of him hitting the ground. But if you've listened to that,
Yeah.
I mean, I can listen to the audio of it right now in my head, and it's just
Yeah.
It's gut
no,
wrenching.
thank you.
Just no.
I can't do stuff like that.
But the other thing is,
Especially
too,
with kids. Like, ugh.
is the fact that if you've watched the video, the workers did absolutely nothing. Like, as soon as he came out, hit the ground,
They didn't
there's
try
like,
to resuscitate him.
there's like 10 to 15, almost 20 seconds of nobody doing anything. Like, they're just waiting for the ride to come down. And
Yeah, but there's probably like an initial shock, right? I don't know that I would immediately run. Like at first, you'd be like, "What the fuck did I just see?" Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't
Yes
say.
and no.
I can't say that I would
can't say
immediately
what
run
I would
over there.
do.
Yeah,
That would be hard.
that'd be tough.
And you're right, looking at it as a person looking at the video now, but it's just it's almost weird for human nature for you not to do anything. Like, you just go back to your job like nothing's happening. Like, oh look, dude just fell out. Just
Well,
go-
yeah, if that was
go exit
happening
this way,
Yeah, if that was happening, that's a problem.
Yeah,
like
he
if
was-
they're like letting people off the ride.
they were
shit.
having people walk past him,
Oh.
Yeah,
and
no.
some other guy that happened to see him fly out, ran over there and was trying to check his pulse and everything. I mean, he hit the ground going 75 miles an hour. It's not really.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, that sucks, man. So I mean, somebody's about to get broke off like big time,
Someone's about
and
to
that's
own
not
that
gonna that's not gonna bring their son back or
No,
you know
it's
their
not.
brother or their cousin, which is really really sad. But let me ask: is that like a permanent structure? Or is that like a carnival?
That's a permanent.
It's an
I was
amusement
there. I was there in Orlando.
Okay.
In April. Oh, wow.
Usually, you feel more safe at a place that's like not.
Yeah.
We threw this up this weekend,
Yeah.
and we're gonna take it away in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yep.
The little death
Like-
traps.
It's
Yeah.
actually a thing. It's down from when we were there. It's right down the street from.
We
the
have one
Orlando
at Kima.
Convention.
Very
Yeah,
similar.
Yeah. It's the
I
same
think
thing.
it's the exact same ride.
It's the exact same
Which
kind
I've
of
also
thing.
never ridden. That's scary.
I've rode that, but
I
yeah,
was much skinnier when I
it's-
rode it.
It should be. It's very close to their big Ferris wheel they have there in Orlando. It's kind of like their boardwalk. So yeah, it's a little. I'm with you. If it's carnival, you're not getting me anywhere near that.
Yeah. I rode the zipper once and actually threw up on the ride. I don't mean to go off on a tangent. I was actually on a date with my daughter's mother. We were teenagers. And I was dressed fresh to death too, bro. Like you couldn't tell me shit. I was like, I thought I was looking totally fly, right? And I'm about to go with my girl on this ride. And if you're familiar with the zipper, it's like an oval shaped thing and there's cars, kind of like a Ferris wheel. And the thing like spins like this and it goes really fast. And not only does it spin, but your cars spin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
when it stops at the top, I was at the top car and the car was just going like this the whole time. And I'm like, and my girlfriend at the time, who ended up being the mother of my child, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm just like, and all of a sudden I feel my mouth like just fill up, and I'm holding it in like,
Oh God.
and then it just starts like squirting. It starts squirting out of both sides of my life, and I try to turn my head and just be like, "Whoa."
Oh God. Were you gonna catch
At least
her
you
in
didn't
your
throw
mouth?
up on her.
I didn't.
There you
I don't
go.
think any got on her, but let me tell you the worst part of
It
that
didn't
story.
tumble around in there.
Let me tell you the worst part of that story. We get off the ride, right? And I'm like, I'm like walking to, and I'm laying down on the sidewalk next to it.
Next to it.
The carnival people don't clean the car out. They just send it up. They just send it up. I'm not lying.
You know
They
why?
just send it up.
You know why? Because when it starts spinning again, the force of it.
So
It's gonna spin
I'm
dry that
I'm not
shit.
feeling well. So I'm there long enough to when that car comes back down for them to load it. And they open it up and the people are like, "Why is it wet?" They're like, "Oh, we just cleaned it out." I shit you not. I shit you not. If I'm lying, I'm dying. If you ever meet my daughter's mom, ask her about that. That literally happened. Ever since then, I will never get on a carnival ride ever again.
That's gross. So gross.
That's
Oh,
beautiful.
man. Okay, so before we get into our main topic, let's get an ad for Upscale Roofing, and then we will get into the slap heard around the world. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the show. Real quick, something special has happened. Now, last season I told you all about how Larry Showalter of L&M Roofing is the consummate professional, offers you service with a smile, treats you like family, and gives back to his community. Well, guess what? Larry has teamed up with our man Stephen Terry and his family, and they have created a dyad in the force. L&M Roofing is now Upscale Roofing, and it is the premier roofing company in the state of Texas. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I believe in these guys that much. Sponsorship be damned. I know these guys personally, and I know how much it means to them to provide the best experience when dealing with issues with your roof, issues you may not even know you have. So how about you call Upscale Roofing today and schedule your free roof inspection? The number to call is 281-930-7368. That's 281-930-7368. Tell Larry, Steven, and the guys that Nick from Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast sent you. Upscale Roofing, our quality is through the roof. That is right. You guys give Upscale Roofing a call. Get that free roof inspection before the summertime comes. It's the springtime, so there's probably going to be a lot of rain coming up. So you guys make sure your roofs are in good order, and you tell them that we sent you there. Okay. So what was I doing? I felt like I was watching. I don't remember what I was watching on TV.
I don't know, but I'm the one that broke it to you.
Yeah, it was. That's what I was getting at. I get a text message, and Josh is like, "Did you guys see what happened on the Oscars?" Now, full disclosure, I don't remember the last time I sat down and like watched the Oscars live. It's been a minute. I used to like watching award shows.
I love award shows.
Back in the MTV Movie Awards days, like the best one was 2001. Jamie Foxx at the Opera House. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep.
You guys Google it. It was great. Basically, he turned a bunch of hip hop songs into opera. It was freaking hilarious. So I don't usually watch award shows, and I almost forgot that the Oscars were even on until Josh is like, "Bro, did y'all see what happened?" And I'm like, full disclosure, I usually have Fubo. Like, I suspended it for a couple months to like save some money, and I was like, I'm not really watching anything on there. I'm like, I'm gonna turn it back on for the Astros. So like, I immediately tried to open the Fubo app, and I was like, fuck, I haven't paid for it yet. So I'm like, should I just go ahead and pay for it? Like, I want to see what's happening.
Worth it.
Thankfully, my man Josh was right on cue, and he sent us the video that I'm going to go ahead and let you play, just in case somebody just came out of a coma and decided the first thing they wanted to do was listen to the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast, and they haven't seen or heard this video. We're going to go ahead and play it for you real quick before we discuss.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
All right.
Oh my.
I just want to say to my man Chris Rock, like, when we did our top 5 comics, he was in my top 5. And that displayed why. Like, who the hell gets the absolute dog shit slapped out of them and immediately comes out with the funniest thing I've heard all week is, wow, Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. I was dying laughing.
I thought it was a skit. Like, like in between.
So did everybody. See, but I was like, y'all. So I saw the video. I had it on. So this is my little secret. I have Twitter. The only reason I have Twitter is to keep of all the drama. That's literally the only reason I have Twitter.
Astros, Texans,
That's it. That is
Oscars. I got you.
And I saw trending. Will Smith slaps Chris Rock at the Oscars. I was like, this is a joke. Tap on it, watch it, and I was just like, that looks like a skit.
Right.
And then when he sat down and he dropped the 2 F-bombs, I was like,
yeah.
I think that's what
everyone
realized it was
he
real.
hit that fucking, like, man, that was a good fucking.
It was like,
I'm just saying.
Sound drop.
That was a good fucking.
He hit that like he was serious.
It was a Mike Lowry, the F-bomb. That's what it was.
That room went silent.
Like bad
I
boy
mean, he
too.
enunciated.
He did.
Fucking like he was.
Oh God.
Yeah, because most people that are fans of Will Smith know that he does not cuss unless he's in movies. There's very rarely you're seeing him doing interviews or anything. He'll say something like that.
In every song, he was like, "I don't cuss, damn." I don't cuss, damn it. I was like, bro, come on.
Yeah,
Did you
no.
stop? Like, it's not a gimmick anymore. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
you're-
getting ahead of ourselves. But no, I feel what you like. We've never seen him like he was then.
Yeah, that was complete. It was not Will.
I really felt it was an unhinged Will. Like you
Oh,
can tell.
yeah.
Like,
I feel
he
like Will's
was-
been watching Bel Air a little too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
Well, and we may get into this, and me and my wife are talking about it. I think this was the opportunity to avenge last time when he didn't do shit when his wife decided to say in front of everybody, hey,
Yeah.
I'm having an entanglement.
Yeah. We will get into that. As a matter of fact, let's go around the room because we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear from each of you what your initial thoughts were. And then after you processed it, like, because right now there's a very huge debate about did Chris Rock cross the line? Was what Will Smith did justified? And I'd just like to hear your guys' take on what your initial reaction was, and then after the fact, what you think about those two statements. I'll
So-
start with you, Naomi.
First of all, I was curious. Like the main reason I thought it was a skit was because like what Will Smith is sitting in the front row, second
Yeah.
row. I mean,
Right.
he is like right there. So
They knew he
obvious-
was going to win that night. They're like, let's go ahead and give him a front row seat.
Yeah. Okay. And I. yeah. That's probably right.
Yeah. Nobody wants to wait for him to walk all the way from the back,
Yeah.
right?
True.
So I was just. Yeah. I'm still just
Speechless.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're,
It's,
you're still like Rock. He's still. I'll bring up in my part, but yeah, he's still processing that. He said.
Yeah, I just felt like he had a lot of things that just kind of came out all at once and
Yeah.
Will did. But
did you feel
but-
like Chris Rock's joke
I
justified
feel
his
like
reaction?
Chris Rock has joked about her so much that he had enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like it was justified, but at the same time, we've had this talk about comedians before, and comedians
Mm-hmm.
kind of have a little bit more leeway. Like if they have something that they talk about a lot and it's, part of their spiel or whatever, then it's funny. And Will Smith, he's kind of like, he's a funny guy too.
Yeah, he's
But
been
I
a
feel
comedic
like-
actor most of his career.
Yeah. And I feel like
Him and Chris Rock know each other.
Yeah.
Like
I
they're,
feel like
I don't want to say they're in the same circles now, but at some point
they
in
know
their
each other a
careers.
lot more right now.
For sure. The reason I asked that is because let me frame it a different way. Because you said you're right, Chris Rock does roast, and you did mention that he has roasted Jada in the past. But that's
And
what
probably,
that's what comedians are there for, though.
Yeah.
Like Chris Rock has roasted a lot of people at the Oscars.
So if a boy is making fun of you repeatedly, it just means he's got a crush on you. So Chris Rock just had
Could
a
be
super
it.
crush
That
on you.
could be it.
100% it.
Totally
could be it.
And so
Now-
I think Will Smith was like, all right, here's my chance. I'm going to slap the shit out of him right now.
So here's my thing. You said that you feel like maybe he just got sick of it, and this has been talked about a lot. His initial reaction, though, he doesn't look like the joke bothered him.
Yeah.
He was kind of laughing, and I think he looked over and saw that she was not happy, and then that's when something triggered, and that's the debate right now, and it's one of the things I wanted to get a woman's perspective on, because I've seen a lot of women say, oh, that's what I want my man to do if anybody ever disrespects me. But here's my question to you. Do you feel like that action was Will defending Jada and her honor, or was he defending himself and his honor and his ego?
I feel like he was defending his pride. I feel like there's been a lot of jabs geared towards Jada and Will's relationship, mostly because Jada seems to basically walk all over him, and they've got a weird relationship, and they parent their kids in a weird way.
That's the perception from the outside looking in.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I don't know them
Right.
personally, but
But we're gonna get to. Let's bring him on the show.
yeah,
see what
I
happens.
think it was more about his pride
Mm-hmm.
getting hurt, and when he probably looked over and saw her, it probably just pissed him off.
He's like, I can't. In my opinion, he's like, I can't be the guy who let his wife get talked. I feel like when he went up there, it was more about him than her. And the only
Yeah.
reason I say that is because he lives with this woman. He knows that she has this alopecia. he knows if her balding bothers her or not. And we, like you said, we don't know the dynamics. Maybe that's something that they joke around about in their house. But, you know, when you and your wife are together, you can take digs at each other. And usually when you're roasting somebody, you're not going to roast them about something that you think they're not insecure about. Right. I mean, how terrible you do. How terrible of a joke would it have been if Chris was like, "Hey, Jada, before I say this, is there any medical reason that you don't have hair right now?" "Oh, you don't? Okay, I won't say this joke then." Like, that's not how roasts work. Yeah. When you roast somebody, trust me, I've been made fun of for being bald a lot.
You emphasize their flaws, and
right.
That's what it's about.
And the reason that those movie stars, the reason they bring comedians to the Oscars to do that is because we're talking about Hollywood elites that, I mean, they're beautiful, they're talented, they have all the money in the world. Like, it seems like on the outside looking in, I mean, we know that money is not everything, but it seems like they're living the perfect life. And the Oscars is just completely about everybody just feeling themselves. And there's a bunch of big heads in the room. So those comedians are kind of there to like bring them down to size a little bit.
Yeah.
Jade is not the only one that happens to. Now, so my question is, why do you think he shouldn't have made that joke if he knew? Now, according to TMZ, somebody in Rock's camp told TMZ that he didn't know about the alopecia. But I'm going to say, regardless of whether he knew or not, do you feel like, because like you said, we've talked about comedians before, like it's their job to be controversial. Like, do you feel like whether he knew or not that was crossing a line?
I don't feel like Chris Rock did anything that any other comedian would not have done.
I agree with that. I think there's some comedians that if they knew, they may not have said that. Because I saw them do interviews and they said as much. Like,
maybe a few.
Yeah. I saw a few. Like, they were like, if I knew that was the case, I probably wouldn't go there. But there's some comedians who would.
She's beautiful. She was wearing that beautiful dress. She looked fucking amazing. Like,
yeah, that's one thing.
That.
That's one thing I was gonna say.
As,
like,
you know,
Jada wearing
shaves their hair
right,
Jada
wearing that hairstyle.
It looks good.
That's my, like I said, I mentioned I get joked at for being bald, and there's a section of people like it's different because she's a woman, which obviously I'm not a woman, so I can't understand that, and I don't know. Like, I'm sure for her, someone who is at one time was a very huge movie star, somebody who's kind of been relegated to kind of a B-list, maybe even relegated to being known as Will Smith's wife, like that's probably difficult for her. So there's probably a lot of factors in that. Mm-hmm. My thing is Will wasn't bothered. And so do you think Chris Rock got what he deserved? Is basically what I'm asking you.
No, but I just, my life and Will Smith's lives are probably on two different
What would Clint do? This is WWCD. What would Clint do?
So Clint would probably laugh because he's down for the roast. He's in it for it. But I would not, he would embarrass me more than Chris Rock's jokes if he had done what Will Smith did. That would be really embarrassing. I'd be like, dude, get your shit together. This is the fucking Oscars.
Right.
He's a comedian. Like, no, it's just
this is like, potentially the pinnacle of your career
I would
tonight.
laugh at it too. So
you wouldn't make it about you.
Exactly. It's I am there for the night. I'm there supporting my husband, and if they want to make jokes on, at my expense, that wouldn't really bother me that much. I just,
Even if it was something that let's say you had a medical condition. I mean, you wouldn't mind being bald. I think you're just a different, we can't compare you to Jada.
Yeah.
Because I think,
they're different.
And I'm going to read a quote from Jada Smith that was from a couple years ago at her roundtable. She's just a different kind of breed. I think she's different than you. So it's not fair to ask you, like, well, what would you do? Because I think you're absolutely right. Number one, I don't think you would need Clint to defend you. If you were offended, I think you'd handle that shit yourself. Maybe Naomi would have been up there slapping the shit out of Chris Rock. No, I don't know.
He would not get an open palm slap.
Yeah.
If you offend me, look.
You're coming at you. What say you, Josh Beard? We were kind of going back and forth pretty heavy in the chat, in our text thread about this. So what say you?
So I'll eat a little bit of crow for those that don't see into our text.
Well, just give us your initial reaction first.
My initial reaction, like I said, was that's got to be a skit. Like that's, and if it is, bravo. Until until he sat back down.
Yeah.
And then I realized that's
Shit got real.
yeah, shit got real quick.
Lupita Young's face in the background told the whole story.
Yeah, she was like,
if you guys watch that video over, like at first she seems amused, like,
She's
oh,
like, yeah.
and then the moment she realized it was real, she's like, oh shit.
yeah, yeah.
Then she looked like she just wanted to crawl
It's like when
off
mommy
the
and-
camera because she can probably see herself on the big screen.
Oh, I'm
right?
sure she was just like, oh yeah.
So she's like sinking in her chair, like, holy shit.
Oh god.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. No, at first, and I think most of y'all know my takes on comedians, and Nick, thank you for reminding me of that kindly in our text messages when we're going back and forth. But
Yeah.
I think the initial reaction, since I guess I knew about her condition, I was like, man, that's a little rough. That's a little rough.
Yeah.
And I think my argument at the time was that you go to the Oscars to honor one another and your accomplishments. And like you, I haven't seen an award show in quite a few years. It's not on my radar. It doesn't affect me. I like to see some of these stars get recognized for great things, but it's not.
You're a movie fan, so
Yeah.
like,
I don't. But I don't. Like, I didn't pop popcorn and
yeah.
you know, whatever. But I was like, yeah, that's a little rough. And then the more that I thought about it, the more that the stuff has come out as far as other things that were said during the night. I was just like,
It's okay. Now, initially,
you have to be ready for it. You have to. And the craziest thing is, we all knew, if you tuned in, or even if you tuned in after that, you knew that Will was going to win Best Actor.
Right.
Everyone knew that months ago when the movie was released.
he had to know that. He won
It was
all the
done.
awards prior to.
Yes, that was
Golden
it.
Globes, all those other awards.
That was
SAG,
it.
all that shit.
And I found it kind of odd because, again, I think I sent y'all the acceptance speech.
Yes.
And I thought it was odd that he apologized and then he comes around and says, you know, we're in this field and we need to be aware of what's going to happen. We know what we're used to, or something like that. Something
He
makes
says when you're in this business, you got to get used to people disrespecting you,
Right.
talking crazy about you.
you can't say that in the same breath as saying, as I apologize. You can't.
Yeah, it kind of diminished the apology.
It
he
diminished
also did not mention Chris Rock's name.
He did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Let
part
me
of
just say this before you continue, because I think we missed this. Josh's initial thing was, I'd have done the same shit. He's like, you can't be making fun of his wife. She's got a condition. Like, he was like, I'd have done the same fucking thing.
It was. It very honestly was.
Yeah.
There was a couple people. There was one people. I also want to say this. I haven't lost any respect, but I also haven't gained any more respect for him. I think he had his mind in the right place, but he executed that very, very poorly. And I think, like I said earlier, those two over the last couple of years have been the butt of numerous jokes,
Mostly
and
him.
memes, and everything.
Mostly him.
And I feel like he was like, all right, I can gain back some of my, like you said, some of my pride. Let me walk up on the stage. But the
Right.
fact that you took, that's like a 5-second walk. Like, there was quite a few times from the moment he said that
He could have
joke.
been like, I should stop.
He's like, I should probably turn around or joke this off or something.
No, he was.
Kiss him on the cheek.
Yeah, like,
I thought
play
he
it
was
off.
gonna go up there and like add to the joke or something like
Yeah,
that.
like-
you know? I don't
Or maybe
know.
grab the mic and say, hey, man, that's not really cool.
Yeah. Well,
Jada's got a condition.
because some people,
Or do that during your acceptance speech.
well, yeah, and some people thought that it was planned because if you watch the video, Rock does not do any defending. Like, he almost literally leans
I don't
kind of
think he
towards
had
him.
any idea that he would get slapped
But he
in
had
the
no
face.
idea what was going on. Like, he's nobody in the history, unless you're Kanye West, has walked up on the stage and done something stupid.
As a matter of fact, he starts to say as he's laughing, you kind of hear it. He's like, "Uh-oh, Richard," and like,
Right.
he basically feels like,
Right.
like Will Smith is in character right now.
Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
not expecting.
And that's why I thought, but
Yeah, he was
What
not
happened?
expecting that.
Yeah.
going back, I think there was just a lot of stuff that built up, and I think he felt like that was going to be the best way to do it. newsflash, it's not great to assault people while they're watching the show.
Yeah.
Even more stuff come out.
Apparently, if you're Will Smith, you can get away with that shit.
Well, right. And the one thing that made me mad, if you haven't been following along, and I don't know if you've seen the latest, but yesterday the Academy came out and actually said, we asked him to leave. We told him to leave, and he refused.
I think that's bullshit.
And I was like,
why wouldn't you have said that initially?
You're right.
I think it's bullshit. I don't think.
And
they
I
asked him
don't.
to leave.
What's crazy is there's so many things that's come out with this. Is even during the commercial break, there's videos of him being talked to by Tyler Perry and Denzel Washington and something like that.
Yeah.
And there's no one around him but other celebrities. Like there's not security or anybody.
I think it's bullshit. I think they're trying to save face. I don't think anybody asked him to leave.
No,
which is like really gross to me. But
yeah, but going back to your question, I don't think it was right.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if we're going to start punishing comedians for doing their job, that draws a really hard line in the sand.
Yeah,
that takes away their whole job. And I'll say it again: you're supposed to be uncomfortable. You're supposed to think, and it's supposed to make you laugh. I felt all three in that joke. I thought it was a wonderful joke. What's the meme? I thought it was a good joke, even a great one, maybe.
Yeah,
it was great.
Honestly, I didn't think the joke was that good. Like for Chris Rock standards, it was pretty. It was dated. Like
it was just
And
millennials. Most millennials are Gen Zers. Is that what they're called? Right. Don't even know what the fuck G.I. Jane is. Like it was a dated joke.
It. They just watched it last night. I guarantee you they did.
Yeah, I mean for Chris Rock standards, like I said, we've gotten really sensitive, and there was actually a really hot button topic about the hosts of the Oscars. Were they going to be nice? Were they not going to be too mean? Because we live in this generation where like everybody's fucking sensitive, and I feel like for Chris Rock, knowing some of his work, like that was, he even said like, oh, that was a nice one. Like that was light work for Chris Rock.
Very, very PG.
And I think when he stopped himself and he was like, oh, I could. Okay, dude, I know what was happening in his brain.
I want to live in
He went back to bigger and blacker. He went back to Pootie Tang. Like he was about to go off.
I've watched that video so many times, and I got the exact same thing when we watched this clip. Yes. I want to live in the alternate universe where he continued that sentence. Like, because you knew he was going to tear him down.
Yeah,
it had to be the most in your face.
Props to him. Props to him. Like he handled it like a G, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy thing. So he got extra security for his show in Boston, and he actually had someone heckle him that they had to throw out in his first show in Boston. I have to imagine it's hard, especially for men. I know for a fact, like men, we're supposed to shake that shit off. It's whatever. I'm pretty sure that was traumatizing experience for him. And we'll get in a little bit. I want to talk about mental health, men's mental health, and how the world views that. But here's my take on it. There's a poll out there. It's the Blue Rose Research poll. 52.3% of the people who were asked believe that Chris Rock got what he had coming. And that Will Smith was in the right for doing what he did.
Okay.
52.3. That means more people believe that Will Smith was right than don't believe that. Okay. And I am inclined to believe that because I told you guys before the show, I've been debating this topic with people on social media from the moment that it happened. And I cannot tell you, I was shocked. Maybe I shouldn't. I expected to hear some men be like, yeah, that's what you do when that's what a real man does. You can't let somebody disrespect your woman. Even the way, listen to how that sounds. Is that really you protecting your woman, or is that your ego?
Yeah.
So I expected to hear that from some men. I was shocked how many women were like, oh yeah, he did the right thing. That's what I want my man to do.
Making a joke about like my hair is so like surface and shallow, not shallow, but it's so like surface. Like you don't need to stick up for me for that.
They kept using the word protect.
Yeah, no, and you certainly don't need to protect me from that.
From words?
Yeah.
You have to protect your wife from words?
If he's making like a threat or like,
if it's a physical threat?
Yeah.
He spits on you?
Yeah, something like that.
I would venture to say, even if like, let me ask you, what if it was like if someone grabbed your ass? would you be okay with Clint getting into a physical altercation over an ass grab?
Okay, well, it's happened, and that's
Okay.
what happened.
It was a
and-
physical altercation?
Yeah, and I give him a high five. Boop. Way to go,
Okay.
baby.
Well, that's the difference between that is that's
I've been
assault.
thinking about that.
That's assault.
Yeah, and it was
I've
one of
been
his
thinking-
friends. He was
See,
pissed.
I've been thinking about like an ass grab versus if somebody slapped my wife in the face. If somebody slapped my wife in the face, oh, we're moving furniture. Like it's about to go down.
Oh, that's it. I'm moving Earth. I don't know
I'm,
what you're talking about.
Well, I'm just saying, like, some shit's about to go down. I've been asking myself, like, if somebody grabbed your ass, I would definitely have words, but I don't know that I would get physical, and I can't put I don't know because I'm not in that situation.
Right,
This is
right.
what I do know. There is nothing a person could say that warrants you going up and physically assaulting somebody.
No.
And those aren't the actions of a man. Those are the actions of a little boy who lost control of his emotions. And you said you feel like he thought he was doing the right thing. To be honest with you, I don't think he was thinking at all. I think he went to straight red mode.
yeah.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think he would probably say the same thing.
Maybe not thinking he was doing right, but again, and this is touching a little bit based on what you mentioned was mental health, and kind of going back to what you were saying about in the video where he laughs initially, and a lot of people have pointed out he laughs initially.
Right. Which is why I don't think he
very
was
confusing.
protecting Jada.
Yeah.
Because think
See-
about, I don't want to interrupt you, but just real quick. If he lives with Jada, he knows if that's something that
Right.
she's sensitive about, he knows it. And it wouldn't take, I know the cameras are on you and like you kind of got to cheese it up a little bit, but I think he would have known instantly that joke was going to hit wrong with her if it was really about her.
So, but right before the show, we were talking about Devil's Advocate. So I ran so many different scenarios through my mind. What would have made him do that? And one of them that I kind of, and me and my wife were talking about it was, if you haven't seen her, she has a very fresh shaved head for that show that night.
Yeah.
I
thought
was-
it looked good, by the way.
No, she looks phenomenal. I don't know
Yeah.
why that's even debatable.
Yeah.
But
Feel like,
yeah,
you like
no,
this?
if you can pull off the ball look, more power to you.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think one of the things I ran through my mind was, what if that day that they're getting ready for that thing, they had an emotional breakdown because she had to shave her head again and something like that, and something emotional at home was what happened.
That could have completely happened.
And now you come to the show, you're letting your hair down, you're calm, you don't
No
expect.
pun intended.
Yeah.
You're letting
don't-
your skull down.
Skull down. You don't expect to be the butt of
Don't
a joke.
slap me, Will.
I feel like Will Smith's about to walk through this door.
You don't expect to be the butt of a joke, and then something is joked about that you had an emotional thing before you got there.
Did she have it in front of him in this scenario, or was she by herself?
What?
This emotional breakdown about her hair.
Because
Because I feel like
I
feel like if he'd have witnessed that,
right.
he would have immediately that joke. He wouldn't have taken him. He wouldn't have chuckled at
But
first
so going back to the laugh,
because it would probably be
it's
in
a
his mind
mix.
like, I hope nobody says anything about this.
right? I think the laugh that we see is a mixture of the previous joke and a nervous laugh. Because when I get uncomfortable, y'all have probably seen this. I will laugh. not that. Like very similar to what he does. Like I'll do the like
Yeah.
got very nervous, and it was kind of a bleed laugh from the last joke, which was good, and then going into this, and did he just say that?
Yeah.
Like did that just happen? And you get that emotion. Obviously, we don't know as of right now. There's new angles coming out every couple of days now, but we don't see that angle that happens once it goes back to Rock. We don't see that look.
All
Yeah,
I know
my-
is I think Chris Rock is probably, all in all, probably thanking Will Smith because his ticket sales for his tour just like
That's true.
spiked.
That's
like,
true.
Oh yeah, and that's what I was
But when
going to say is he had his show last night, and they with his comedic timing, by the way, that you pointed out earlier, he comes out and he goes, "Well, how was y'all's weekend?"
Yeah.
And he
No,
says,
dude, he's one of the best. He's
yeah,
one of
and
the
he
best.
talks about how he's like, if you came to the show just to hear me talk about what happened over the weekend, I'm not even going to talk about
Yeah.
it. I'm honestly still processing it myself, and I think all of us are kind of still processing it because
Yeah, that sounds so fucking dramatic, but it's true. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just have this gross feeling in my stomach about it. Because I don't consider myself a Will Smith fan. I don't think I'm a fan of anybody. I appreciate his work. I think he's a very good actor. I don't think he's great. I saw King Richard. It was like I feel like that was you've been trying for a long time. It's about time we gave you one kind of thing.
I've been liking his new show on Discovery, where it's like
It's him seeing the world.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty cool. I liked
But
it.
my thing is to talk about the right or wrong aspect of it. There was a lot of telling things to me. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. I don't think he's sticking up for her. He doesn't say keep Jada's name out your mouth. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Like, to me, and you brought up, like, Will Smith has been a meme for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Add on to that, his entire rap career, he didn't curse. He was considered soft, popcorn, not gangsta. You know, that was around the time that gangster rap was a thing.
He was the rap we were allowed to have at our parties.
Right.
As
And
kids.
the thing is he was always conscious of that, because in his songs, why do you think he's always, I can sell records and don't cuss? Because I feel like he took that personal. And I don't know if you remember the last rap album he made. It was called Born to Rain.
Yes.
And he like tried to be a little bit more edgy, and he had like a Snoop Dogg feature on there, but like it.
Wasn't that one that was Switch?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
song.
and that was a very
like that
poppy
one.
song, and
I
that was
like
the
that
only that was the only song that came off that album, and it was very, very pop. So like, I feel like there was just this amalgamation of all of that, and I think he had a Waterboy moment, man.
Yeah.
It's like, stop making fun of me.
Like you said,
And he
said,
just-
it sounds bad when you say it out loud, but yes, I'm still processing it because going back to it, I grew up on him. I grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I grew up listening. I hate to say this, Big Willie style. Like that was.
Bro,
around-
that's when he was popping, bro.
Yeah.
Party in the city when the heat is
Exactly.
on, getting jiggy with it.
So,
Like,
I
and
used
him
to
and
listen
Jada
to
were
that
like
all the
having
time.
kids together. Like that was, but let me, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna let you think about how not humble he was during that time though. His shit
Yeah.
didn't stink. 1999, 2000,
He was
like that
on top of
motherfucker.
it.
I'm the best. Like he
When
did
did Bad
Ali.
Boys 1 and 2 come out? That was like the peak.
I'm saying, like, all of his raps were about how great he was. I'm the greatest. Ali told me I'm the greatest. Like, he had zero humility. Wild Wild West, he made stupid money off of that. Like, he was in Men in Black. Like, Will Smith was like the biggest star on the planet during that period.
90s, early 2000s.
And he had no humility, dude. And now I feel like being what he is now, which I can understand somewhat. Like, I'm going to have some sympathy for it. Like we said, money doesn't buy happiness. Like, that dude looked like a man who's in pain.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think
Yeah.
And
mentally pain.
Yeah.
A part of me was like, really, because here's the thing, man. I was not happy with his apology during his speech, nor the one he put out on Twitter. I feel like the one he put out on Twitter sounds like somebody wrote that for him, like maybe a publicist or
Yeah,
something.
that's likely.
It didn't feel. I don't feel like he took the accountability, and this is why we're going to talk about, has our view of Will Smith changed? Like I said, I appreciated his work. I wouldn't call myself a fan, but like, yeah, when he was hot, like, I mean, I remember thinking he's like one of the coolest dudes ever, but
You couldn't touch him.
yeah, I didn't like worship him or anything, but you know, I liked his music, and I liked to dance, so like he had a lot of good dance hits. As an actor, I always thought he was good, not great. But I didn't see him as a very humble person, and a lot of times when he tried to present himself as humble, it just didn't feel real to me. And like I said, that may not be the case, but just because of how brash he was on his music and in his movies, like whenever he would try to show some humility, it just seemed kind of forced to me.
Yeah.
But my thing is that we're talking about, is it right? Is it wrong? First of all, to all the people who are arguing that it's okay, I feel like that's just really toxic. Like, you cannot assault somebody over words, because let's take away the fact that he's Will Smith. Let's pretend he's Nick Stevenson, or he's another black kid in the inner city who's at the club and somebody says words to him that he doesn't like, or says words about his woman. Now we're talking about, this is protecting your woman. how are you protecting your woman if you're putting yourself in an even more compromising situation? Let's say somebody says words about your woman. And once again, that sounds very possessory, right? Somebody says words about your wife, your girlfriend. You haul off, you slap them in the face. Okay, at the Oscars, apparently nothing's going to happen. If you're at the club or the bar and you haul off and slap somebody in the face because he said words, okay, what happens when they go get a knife or a gun and they come back and they shoot you or kill you, stab you to death? How are you going to protect your woman now?
I feel like we hear about it all the time in the news. Stupid
There's
shit
a
like that.
graveyard. There are graveyards full of that story. Okay, not everybody is Will Smith, and I feel like Will Smith had a little bit of entitlement where,
Much less at the Oscars in front of all
right,
these people.
he felt like I think he felt like maybe in the moment I don't think he was thinking, but afterward his actions told me. I always say pay attention to what people do, not what they say. He went to the after party. He's singing "Summertime." He's getting jiggy with it. He's taking pictures. Like, and his apology on Twitter, he said he was embarrassed and ashamed. He did not look like a man who was embarrassed and ashamed. And I understand there's a part of you that goes into the self-defense mode. And like maybe you're thinking to yourself, oh, if I just pretend this shit didn't happen and have a good night, like you already recognize that you've ruined the night for so many people. Like maybe you don't want to make it worse. So there could be a little bit of that going on. But he just didn't look like a man who had taken accountability, at least not in that moment.
Yeah, if it was me, I honestly...
I would have gone home
exactly,
and crawled into a fetal position and like been so fucking embarrassed.
No,
but then again, we don't have the ego and the entitlement
Yeah.
that Will Smith has. Like,
well, it's just like we talked about. If let's say a fan that was there did that, you're tackled on stage and hauled out. Like that's no question. You're not allowed to turn it back around, sit down, drop 2 F-bombs, and then watch the rest of the show and then accept your award. Like I don't.
Yeah.
And
I just had a gross feeling, dude.
It was cringy, man.
It sucks. It sucks because I don't want to use the word I am a fan because I'm gonna tell you
you're
right
a
now,
fan.
I'm a
You're
fan.
a fan.
Like if I was,
I know what happened. You saw those tears coming down his face, and you went immediately back to, "How come he don't want me, man?" And like the ghost of Uncle Phil popped up and gave him a hug.
Like it was, dude. Like I said, when I say I've grown up on Will Smith, like I've grown up on Will Smith, and I've always wanted to be a man in black. I've always wanted to have an Uncle Phil,
dude.
Remember
the orange jacket he had in Men in Black?
Exactly. Yeah,
bro. I found the closest thing I could find to that jacket.
See.
Maybe I was a fan.
I wanted to have a child so that me and my friends could make fun of Reggie when he picks up my daughter for the dance. Like that's like my childhood. And
I'm sorry.
Seeing it
You
explode. It's just.
Can we pause for a second? Because you guys went public with your news, and we have yet to mention it on this show. Can we do that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Joshua and Kayla Beard are going to be a mama and a papa. In how many months? There you go. Hit your own applause.
About 6 months.
In 6 months.
As the recording of the show, we are 13 weeks and 1 day.
Yay.
That's beautiful, man. Because this is what I wanted to ask you. Whenever Josh Jr. is here.
Oh, God.
Or JJ. We'll call him JJ.
JJ. Josh.
Whenever JJ is here.
Beautiful.
What is the advice you're going to give him if somebody's talking shit about his woman? What should he do?
Go tell daddy.
I think it goes back to what, like you said earlier. It's there's a time and place.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the time, and that's not the place. Okay. There is nothing that can be said to me that would physically make me want to do any harm to somebody.
Right.
Like that's, if you hit me, okay, then we're throwing fist.
Right.
If you say you ugly, whatever, I don't care. I can't think of anything bad because I'm literally the nicest.
If Chris Rock had said, "Jada, you dog-headed bitch, I fucking hate you and I hope you die."
Oh.
Yeah, then that's threatening.
I feel like time out. That's not a threat. I feel like that poll would probably go from 52% to like 82%.
Yeah.
But still, even in that moment, bro, those are just words.
They're words.
What did we used to say when we were kids? Sticks and stones may break my bones,
but words will never hurt you.
Okay, and that's not words do hurt. I'm positive that Jada was probably hurt, but we're talking about
all over her face.
We're talking about words, man.
And And again, it goes back
Use
to
your words. That's what we say to kids too, right?
It goes back to me.
Use your words.
The first thing that I told a couple of people at work when this was brought up was if anything comes out of this, anything, it's not who's right, who's wrong, should he have done it, was it a great slap? Like, none of those things should come out of this. I believe this is another case of mental health needing to be addressed in our society. I
don't disagree at all.
I think, and you may get on this, and I may be stepping on your toes, Nick, and I apologize. But I think as men, that when mental health is mentioned, it's swept under the rug. We're raised as men to be mighty, to let everything bounce off your chest. Yeah,
right.
Man up. And we never deal, or some of us never deal with that properly. Because like you just said, man up.
Will Smith appeared to be someone who had not processed his pain
exactly
the right way.
Yeah.
And I think at some point or at some degree that society is part of that issue that happened on Sunday night. I don't think, and they didn't physically walk up there and slap him. That was obviously Will. Yeah. We all saw that.
I think we've established that we think it's wrong, but I do want to add, this is a man that's had, it's not like he's been in the headlines for stuff like this his whole life, his whole career. I think we should show him some grace. Like, he had a bad night.
Yeah.
A really bad night.
Chris Rock showed him some grace.
I agree. He had a really bad night at the worst possible time.
Got to slap the shit out of my Will
It
Smith.
just really sucks that this is overshadowing his accomplishment. And
not only that, but so many other people at the
Yes.
Oscars.
And let me ask you this. Do you know what award was given out after that slap?
Questlove's documentary.
Most people don't even know that.
Yeah.
Most people didn't even see that.
Yeah. Which Questlove gave a very heartfelt speech. Like,
Yes,
he was very emotional.
And if you didn't even know what that documentary is about, which I think is ironic, am I using this the right way? Is that the documentary is talking about gentrification of blacks, yes, in Harlem.
Right. And how the music was a part of the movement.
Right. And you, as a black man, literally just shit on another fellow black man.
That's been a heavy part of the
for
discussion.
pushing another black community subject. Like, and not even,
there's so many layers to this.
I don't even think this was even addressed either. I don't know if you know this. Did you know that particular Oscars was produced, the first one of its history was was a all black production company.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that because it's the slap heard around the world.
Who won? Does anybody know who won Best Picture? Anybody?
Yeah. in a world where we are trying to give the black community a voice, you literally just shit on it.
Yeah.
And
that's
20 seconds.
The reason that Will Smith was like all celebratory afterward, because I don't think he had time to sit and really think and process all of the things where he's probably at home. He's probably at home right now, like, fuck.
We're not going to hear from him for a while. You know that, right? Like, he's.
I hope he gets some help, man, because I want to give him some grace because it was a mental health break. But at the same time, like, it has to be said that that you can't condone that. And I think even he knows that he was in the wrong. And anybody who's arguing different, I would just surmise that, like, that's a really toxic mentality to have. And if you're a man, being a man, and this is obviously lost in society, being a man is about controlling your emotions in that moment. My thing is like, Will Smith is an actor and a rapper. Bro, use your words. Like, if he'd have only said, hey, keep my wife's name out your mouth, I don't think I'd have had a problem with that. Like, it'd have been kind of like, ooh, that's messy. But it's calling up and slapping him. Dude, like, you're Will Smith, man. You want to get back in, go write a diss track about Chris. Like, that is a money opportunity.
Not even that, but the fact that you just came off. Now, granted, he can take away as much as you want about the red table discussion or red table talk, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
As someone that sat down with their wife and talked it out and chose discussion over slamming her through Twitter or throwing her through the hoops of she's a horrible person. You couldn't do that with Chris Rock. You couldn't say like
this is a beautiful segue. I'm glad you're doing it. But yeah, go ahead.
You couldn't have been like, okay, noted. I'm going to see you at the after party.
Hey, Chris,
you're going to
Chris,
the gold show.
come be on the red table.
Yeah, come be on the red table.
I literally, if I was Will Smith and that joke was said, I would have just looked at him and be like, no.
Yeah.
Bad
Yeah.
joke.
Bring it up in your speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Snap back at him. Like there's a thousand other things
Right.
you
Snap
could
back.
have done.
Snap back. Don't slap back.
Right. There's a thousand things you could like if somebody I am a defender, I am a fierce defender of my wife. Like
Yeah.
I would have had words with somebody if they said something and I knew that it hurt her. And I would have done it in a way that was not controversial. There's and if they did it again, like once again, it's only words. Like maybe my words would have been a little less, like more harsh. But if at some point, like I wanted to talk about this because one of the questions was, have you ever had a scenario where you either did a good job of keeping your composure or you lost it? But like it's words, man, and like we talked about how it's hard to offend you. It's really hard to offend me as well. But also like if I'm gonna defend my wife, I'm gonna defend my wife. If something doesn't bother me, I'm not gonna make it about me. If that makes sense, like
Right.
Well, and I feel like he was not bothered about how it affected his wife, and it
the
was
other
more
thing
about how it
is,
affected him.
I don't know if we've mentioned this, but early on in the show, and I mentioned it mine, there was other jokes that were said, but I didn't say exactly what joke was said. Was it Brenda?
Regina Hall,
Regina Hall. There we go. She is making a joke.
who was a very funny actress.
Oh, I love her. She's talking about making a list of people that she wants to be with. Is that what the list was? If I'm not mistaken.
She's single. Like she was bringing up single guys on the stage.
Single guys. And so she brought up a couple of other people, and then she said, "Oh, Will, I know you're married, but I've already talked to Jada, and you're clear to get on the list."
Yeah,
Laughed, killed. Both of them laughed. Everybody laughed.
yeah.
But it's okay to joke about a
Nobody slapped Regina.
Yeah, no one slapped Regina, and so what makes it's. I
Yeah,
don't know.
so I
The
have a
more
couple
talk
other
about
things. I do have a couple things on this list that I want to make sure we cover. So you brought up Jada, and I do want to bring up a couple things. Because you talked about the red table talk. I want you to think about that and all of that entailed. Who did that red table talk? Because I was kind of surprised that people got up and told such intimate details of such private things. And at the time, I'm like, okay, what's the reason someone's doing this? Like, well, who does this benefit? Who do you think? I'll get your who do you guys think that benefited more, Will Smith or Jada?
It definitely benefited her, and I think it brought him down.
Yeah, I had no idea that Red Table Talk existed before that happened. I was like, what? Oh, Jada Smith has her own talk show? I didn't know that. Did you know about that, Naomi?
No.
And did you I know you're not into celebrities and stuff. Did you watch the whole entanglement episode thing?
I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched.
Excerpts?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like he didn't have a lot to gain from that.
No, I felt like.
I feel like he
really
did it to help his
sad
wife out.
about the whole thing, and then
Yeah.
it like backfired, and I just felt like the whole thing was just ugly. And
There's no
not
reason-
because
there's-
of Will Smith.
There's no reason to do that.
Or you could
Unless
just
you want to
not-
get good ratings for your show.
or you could just not talk about it. I mean, I don't even think that anybody was fully aware that she was in an entanglement
Yeah.
until she announced at the show. Like,
Yeah.
and the fact
Yeah, it's
that
gross.
if you've watched it, and I've watched it, it is the most uncomfortable interview you will ever watch, because there's the part where she's talking about. I'm gonna tell you this. During that, you are 100% a Will Smith fan, regardless.
Yeah, I
if you're
agree.
watching that, because there's parts in there where she's like, the reason I did it was because I wasn't happy for years.
I was in a lot of pain.
If I'm sitting across from my wife and she just said, I haven't been happy for the last couple of years, and I'm counting back on the calendar, realizing we've been married for those couple of years, I'm going to feel some type of way.
You will.
And then also bringing up where she was like, we were in an entanglement. He goes, an entanglement? What was it, Jada? Really, what was it? An entanglement, a relationship. Like, he was having not only to listen to her truth, so to speak, he was having to pull it out of her.
Right.
And she was like defending herself.
And she was
the whole-
defending.
I want to note. I want to
feel myself. I wanted to be happy.
I want to note that later on in his book, I believe I haven't read the book yet, but I
need
read
to.
that he admits that Jada was not the only one.
Yes.
Here's my question: why didn't you bring that up during that red table talk? If that's the case, Maybe he wanted to sell books. Totally be like, hey, maybe it's like the big reveal. But if that was the case, why didn't that come up in that talk?
Because it was all about Jada.
It was
I mean, if you're
Jada's
Will Smith,
show.
if you're Will Smith, I think it's like a very good chance you're probably out there getting some, especially if you guys were on a break or whatever. Like the odds that he didn't are, I guess, slim. But I feel like it's weird that all that came out after the fact when Jada was taking so much heat. I feel like this man. I don't know the situation. Like I've been in an emotionally abusive relationship with a woman, and I get mad vibes about that when I look at this whole situation. And I'm not. I guess the question is like, how culpable do we think Jada is in this entire situation? And that's a slippery slope because there's a lot of feminists out there who are like, oh, of course you're gonna blame the woman.
No.
But like, let's be honest and have the discussion. Like, there's some toxic relationships out there where that's the case.
I think what has happened is the Will that we are seeing now is trying to live up to what was Will and Jada back in the day.
Yeah.
Because Will and Jada back in the day,
They were a power couple.
That was a power couple.
Yeah.
And clearly, the affair, I'm going to call it affair because that's literally what it was. Y'all are still legally married.
Yeah. It was an entanglement, Josh.
An entanglement. I think exposed a lot of cracks in their relationship that they have yet to heal from.
Well,
And another thing we
Right.
haven't,
And what was the purpose of it?
nothing.
You could have gone to therapy. You did not have to set up a camera and lights.
Maybe they thought that that was their therapy.
Let me tell you what I think it is. I'm going to read a quote from Joda
From Jada.
from Jada Pinkett Smith. This is from the Red Table Talk. It was in 2019. She was talking about issues she's had in relationships with not just like romantic relationships, but in relationships, period. She said, I've done some very unloving things to people that I love because of my fear and my ego. She told her daughter Willow, because once my ego kicks in, we in trouble. That Jada, baby, she ain't cute. She later added, she's a vicious one and she's mean. Even in my pain, I've had to learn to be more open, more honest, more vulnerable, not to go to the space of ego and lay it down. Will and I had a conversation recently that love and fear are fraternal twins. Anytime you're trying to love on a deep level, you'll come up against the vicious face of fear. I think that there was a time that Jada Smith, she was in Low Down Dirty Shame. She was in a different world. Like Jada Pinkett at the time was a pretty big movie star. Set It Off, like Menace to Society. She was in a lot of stuff. Her and Tupac, The Matrix. Her and Tupac were friends. Like she was at one point a really big deal.
Yeah.
And some of the reason that her downfall came, I don't want to get too much into it, was her own fault. Like she admitted being an alcoholic and getting into drugs. And that's part of the reason that she kind of fell off. So here's Will Smith, who's still pretty successful in his career. I wouldn't say he's as big as he was when he was making movies and doing music and, you know, was on the Hot 100 all the time. Like he had multiple hits. Will Smith's kind of become like the cool older guy now who, you know, but he's still in the spotlight. And here he is at the Oscars, man. And I think that joke was a shot to what she just talked about, her ego. And I don't want to blame her, but I feel like if she could have just shaken it off, like here's my thing. I think two things can be true at the same time. I think if knowingly Chris Rock knew that she had alopecia, then that's kind of a low blow. And I don't care who you are. If somebody says, hey, I was hurt by that, there's no problem. For some reason, we think this is like the ultimate death sentence to just look at somebody and say, hey, I'm sorry. You know, it was just a joke. I didn't mean to anything by it. But if you're hurt, if somebody is hurt, I don't care if you think they should be or not. If you hurt somebody, apologize to them. Like swallow that pride and say, hey, I didn't mean anything by it. I'm sorry. But I think if she could have shaken it off in that moment and read the room, like recognize where you are, like, yo, yes, he told this hurtful joke about me, but this is my husband's, the biggest night of his career. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm just going to smile, laugh it off. I think if she could have done that, I think there's a very, very slim chance that Will Smith gets up and hauls off and slaps Chris Rock in the face.
Well, I argue this. If you watch that video, she obviously gets uncomfortable. She obviously doesn't like the joke. But between the time that it shifts cameras from them back to Rock, at no point
We
does
don't really see what happens, though.
Right.
We don't know if she gives him the signal. We
But
don't know
she
if she
also
says
doesn't
something
get
to
up.
him. Huh?
She also doesn't get up either.
No, I'm saying, like, we don't know what tipped him off to, like, hey, I'm not happy about this.
But if there was, if she wasn't okay with it, she would have been following his ass up that walkway and trying to stop him. She didn't even.
I think she was clearly offended by the joke.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And
Like,
honestly, I don't even have a
you-
problem with her rolling her eyes. Like,
You have every right to be offended,
yeah.
but it does not mean you go out and assault
That's what I say.
somebody.
I feel like the chances are slimmer. I don't know how much slimmer, but I feel like if she could have just kind of, and then let's talk to Chris later.
Yeah.
Maybe he
Hey,
doesn't.
baby,
maybe,
sit down.
Maybe he still does. Yeah. I'm not trying to like blame her for the situation, but I think maybe there's some culpability there of like, if it was a situation, I don't know if it was me. If it's my wife, the biggest night of her career, I'm not gonna make that shit about me.
No.
Like somebody says something about me, I'll laugh it off. Maybe I'm hurting on the inside, but hurt on the inside about it. Like, it's not about you right now. That's how I would do. That's how I don't know about you, Naomi. Like, I think you mentioned it. Like, you would probably grab, if Clint got up to slap somebody.
I'd be like, just sit your ass down, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. I just think, going back to what you said was,
Yeah.
I don't blame her, but she has to take blame for some of this. She obviously went up. He went up there and did the biggest. That's
Right.
100%.
And maybe she gave him the look like, you better do something. And maybe she didn't mean like right now.
Yeah, not now. At the Gold Show, you can.
Right.
But I mean, this is, and someone, I'll bring it up in the chat. Someone brought this up earlier from the Red Table discussion, and P. Scott, thank you for tuning in.
Shout out, my man. Y'all check out Chopping It Up with P. Scott.
He mentions a quote that she says from the Red Table talk, and the fact that that Will should have known that she was cheating because he loved her so much.
Yeah.
And that's just very narcissistic. Like, I have no idea what's going through my wife's mind unless she tells me.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to be a
Can we
mind
agree
reader,
that movie stars are probably narcissistic though?
Yeah,
right?
no.
Like,
That little side eye. That was the signal. Like,
yeah.
I think at the
Go
end of the
slap
day,
that bitch.
like I said earlier, the biggest discussion needs to come out of this is a what?
Jada was like, I smell dick.
God.
All this shit is crazy, bro. This is like the most celebrity gossip I've been involved in, like probably in my life.
Well, but it's
but the
because-
shit is so fascinating.
bizarre.
It's bizarre. And when you start to think about all the implications, all the layers, and then like you think about like, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there who look up to Will Smith, and like, I was just shocked to see how many people would be just fine hauling off and slapping somebody over words.
Yeah,
Like
that
that's a
shocks
scary thing.
That shocks me.
Like
It
over
does.
words. You brought up another thing, Josh, about the racial component, and this is what I'll ask you: do you think if Bradley Cooper told that joke to
He's
Jada?
not funny to you, but okay.
Well, I guess he's not a comedian.
you're fine.
If Bill Burr told that joke,
Okay, I like Bill Burr.
do you think Will Smith would go up on stage and slap Bill Burr in the face?
I think
Maybe Bill Burr, because Bill Burr's not.
Bill
I don't
Burr
know.
is
Chris Rock is like a
crass.
legend in comedy. Let me like if it was Jerry Seinfeld, that's really not his humor. If it was Don Rickles, he's dead. Fuck. He probably would. If he'd have slapped Don Rickles like that, if Don Rickles was alive, he probably would have killed him.
So what you're saying is all the great comedians that
If
are
it was
so
a
currently
white-
live are black.
If it was a white comedian, if it was a
Which I
white
agree
comedian,
with.
if it was Bradley Cooper, if it was not a comedian, if it was Billy Crystal used to host the Oscars a lot.
If it was somebody of the opposite race,
Do you think he would have done it?
do I think he would have done it? I still think he would have, because this still goes back to, I think it's a mental thing. I think he snapped, obviously. Something that we've never seen from people that have grown up with Will Smith and watched him or know his story or have read the book or what he did in those 20 seconds or 25 seconds, I'm not real sure of the exact, was the most out of character we've ever seen that individual.
That we know of, yeah.
We know of.
I mean, he's an actor too. Like a part of me was thinking about that
the shit
when
out
he
of
was
it.
crying, like during his speech. I'm like, I've seen this before. I've seen the Pursuit of Happiness. I know this dude can cry on cue. Like, is he real right now? That was on my mind.
Where's James? I know he's coming around here somewhere.
For real. I don't know if he would have, but it's an interesting conversation because one of the things that I listen to a lot of black media, and one of the things that was hurting them is they felt like, this is the Oscars, and like black people had to fight to be a part of the Oscars. There was a hashtag Oscars So White movement that was in 2016. Speaking of when Will Smith and Jada had boycotted the Oscars, and the joke that Chris Rock told about them, which I feel this was also very, very light work. And it was probably a shot to her ego because what did he say about her? Jada boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. I wasn't invited. Like, it was funny, but it was also true. Like, Jada had not been relevant in 2016 in a long time. And like, if she's at the Oscars, the only reason she's there is because she's there with Will. Now, if you're Jada Pinkett and you used to be one of the biggest movie stars in the world, that's probably a really big shot to your ego. And that's my problem. Like, you can't haul off and slap somebody because they hurt your ego. I'm sorry. You just can't. Like, I'm sorry, Jada Pinkett. The reality is you haven't done anything in Hollywood in a long time. And I think that's the unfortunate part. And I think if you're some Joe Schmo on the street, if you haul off and hit somebody because they said words to you, that's more of your ego. Like, there's no justification for that. Now, once again, we're going to show Will some grace because I've had bad moments. I'm sure you've had bad moments. Mm-hmm. Naomi, you'll be the first person we're going to ask. Was there ever a time that you either lost your composure or had the opportunity to lose your composure and you kept it?
Lost my composure.
Well, I'm going to hear this one.
It's always with my kids. It's like,
oh, that doesn't count. Okay, let's hear it, though.
No,
Don't get CPS called on you.
No, it's just every
You made him go
other-
get a switch off the tree?
For real. You pick out your own, and it better be a good one, or else y'all ain't from the country, okay?
Oh, man. Actually, the very few times I've lost my composure, like, your kids, man, they, whew.
Yeah, it's always been the kids.
Y'all not helping me in this corner with this kid talk.
Oh, your
They
day will
bring so
come.
much
Your day will
joy
come.
to my life, too.
Yeah, or how about a time that maybe you could have been in an altercation and you had a better head about it, or maybe didn't.
Before.
So there was a time whenever I was younger, and we had this bayou behind our house, and I loved playing in the bayou. We catch turtles and frogs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And on the other side was this other neighborhood, and so I was walking down the bayou with my younger brother and sister, and this girl that we've never known before, and we always hung out. We knew all the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's just sort of smack talking to my younger brother and sister for no reason whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I may have said some choice words to her, but I was like, you know what? Like, no, I gotta get y'all out of here before something else happens, because I'm not gonna
it'd be
let
like that
something
these
happen to
days.
them.
People will pull a gun out on you because they don't like something you said.
Yeah. No.
And that's the thing. If you're a man and you're getting, if somebody said some shit about my wife, I would defend her honor. Yes, in a as least confrontational a way as I possibly could, because what a real man does in those situations, and I hope people are listening, everybody who disagreed with me, if you're listening, like, what a real man does in those situations is he thinks about the consequences of his actions.
Absolutely.
If Will Smith had done the right thing, he would have stopped at some point, like you said, the 20-second walk up to Chris Rock, and been like, if I go up here and I slap this man in the face, like, are you really protecting your wife? Because have you seen Twitter, what people are saying about Jada now? Like, you really protecting her? Like, you made this shit 10 times worse.
Make a joke out of it, be like, pop,
know?
Like,
You made
she's
this
the
shit.
devil. She's the reason. Yeah, it's
she's
10 times worse.
narcissistic. Like, it's 10 times worse. You are not, and that's why I say, yes, maybe he kind of snapped, but I feel like that was more about him. In his recent book, once again, I haven't read it. I've seen excerpts. Like one of the first sentences is he says, all my career has been marred by the fact that I felt like I was a coward. And what it was is because his father used to abuse his mother. And he was 9 years old. And there was one time in specific that he thinks about that his father was seriously beating his mother up. And he wanted to help her, but he was too scared. And so, like I said, you couple that with probably years of that as a child. And then coming up in the rap game. And well, like I said, money, if there's any indication that money does not fix it. I mean, Will Smith in our eyes was on top of the fucking world. He had the #1 show on television. He went from winning Emmys on television to winning Grammys to now eventually an Oscar, like box office. I mean, Independence Day, bro. Like,
I love that.
We touched on it. He was, and this man is still emotionally traumatized by something that happened when he was 9 years old. And we go back to the mental health thing. You got to go to therapy. Men, it's okay to go to therapy. I've been to therapy. We got to take this stigma off of you taking care of yourself. And I'm also going to say, if there's any men or women in an emotionally abusive relationship, a toxic relationship, staying in that is not the definition of love. That is not the definition of love. It's actually more narcissistic to stay in a relationship because, oh, but I love this person. Oh, I've been with them for so long. That sense of like, I have to, it's a self-fulfilling yet self-destructive thing at the same time, you know? And if you can let go of that and realize that true love means allowing somebody to be happy because you're not happy, they're not happy. And if you're both just staying together because you don't want that person to be with somebody else, or it's just such a toxic thing. And like I said, as somebody who's been in an emotionally and manipulatively abusive, emotionally abusive relationship with somebody that was very manipulative, when I get those vibes, man, like it's, like you got to get out of that.
And like
you got to get out of that.
I think
I'm not talking about Whitney, by the way. No. If anybody's, I just realized, like, my wife's listening. I should probably make that clear.
You just mentioned, like, you're talking about, living up to, what they were.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple of songs right now off the top of my head that reference that Jada will love.
Mm-hmm. Thousand Kisses.
Do I?
1,000 Kisses.
Yeah, I mean, they've been that whole pedestal of the awesome power couple has an awesome family, and what I saw Sunday night was a family that clearly has cracks.
Yeah. They have a damaged relationship for sure, and the way that they have chosen to raise their children is bizarre. Like, just no.
I try not to comment on people's parenting, but I know what you mean. I know what
agree.
you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
They've pretty much like let them their kids raise themselves.
So much to the point to where like their kids hate their parents. They have come out and said how much disdain they have for their parents and the way that they have not raised them, but like steered their careers.
What is it called when a child divorces their parents? There's a word for it. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't know, but they were clearly on their side on Sunday because shortly after the slap, is it Jaden?
Jaden.
Yeah.
He went on Twitter. He's like, "That's how we do it."
That's how we do it. Yeah, and
I don't think they hate them, but I think there's obviously some resentment there.
Yeah, I think the resentment goes back to them.
If you're a child of a movie star, you're just bound to be fucked up.
Right? Yeah, the resentment of them growing up with two celebrities and them basically not being them for their child, like being there for their childhood.
That
makes sense.
I mean, but when you're in that, you should probably have more steady. What's the fucking word I'm thinking of? More
stability.
Yeah, thank you, stability.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll get it.
Ding, ding, ding.
When we put our heads together, we're incredible.
There you go. Like more stability in their kids' lives, and instead they just gave them full chaotic control of their own, and that's not what kids need. Now, I mean, like, I'm not a child.
Let's face it, though. All of these people are just living in a world that is they live in a completely different universe than us.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, that's why it's surprising that I see so many people like, you're not doing your woman any favors in jail or dead. Like that's not protecting your woman.
And that's where you would have been if you were a normal person in society. You would have been at least jail for the night. So your wife is going home by themselves.
Yeah.
And then clearly you're going to be charged with assault. I will say this. I think out of everybody that was involved, I think Rock has taken the high ground. I think
he also needs some therapy. Let's get Chris Rock some therapy, please.
I think he's taking the high ground. I think the not pressing charges. I think he himself, just like every one of us, is understanding.
You know how Rock's gonna get his revenge. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be
for that special.
Yeah, it's gonna be a special. But I also think too is
honestly, before that happens, I hope they work it out though.
Yeah, and I think he clearly knows something is not right.
Yeah.
And always people that are saying, well, I would have sued him, and you don't. You weren't there. Like you mentioned earlier, these individuals know each other. Everybody in Hollywood's friends. Don't ever think that they're enemies or anything like that. They're all friends. They all go to the neighborhood barbecue. Like they're friends. Like
emancipation, Kayla. Thank you. I'm sorry.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. That's the word I was looking for.
They're all friends, and clearly, Rock has seen his friend act out of character, as every other American saw.
I'd forgive you if you slapped me in the face, Josh.
Ooh, that's a freebie. Go.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but we would
You
fight.
need to
We're not
keep
on
my
the Oscars.
podcast
We're not
out
on,
of your mouth.
We're not on the Oscars though, bro. I'm gonna hit you back. So let's, as we try to wrap up this part of the conversation, I think it's not great for radio, but I think we're all in agreement that it definitely could have been handled better. Mm-hmm. I think we are in agreement that two things can be true at the same time. We can say, hey, Chris, you probably shouldn't have told that joke, but there's no reason in hell to go off and slap somebody in the face. And, you know, we can also agree that translated into real life, like, it's even worse. And I wanted to say, ladies, don't confuse that for love or your man protecting you, because most likely it's him protecting his own ego, one. And I'm sorry, like, violence over words is a red flag for anybody. Because if you think that him hauling off and hitting a man because he used words means he wouldn't haul off and hit you because you use words, I'm telling you right now, you don't want to play that game. Like, anybody who has a temper that words would make him haul off and hit another man, he'll hit you too if you say the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. Like, if a man who cannot control his emotions isn't going to differentiate, oh, that's a man versus my woman, like, I'm telling you right now, that shit is toxic as fuck, and it's a definite red flag. Let's see. We covered all our things too. So I know it sucks, like, we all agree, but that's why I was hoping Josh was still on the shit he was on Sunday. No. I'd have slapped that motherfucker too. So.
It was interesting. I'm glad you brought that up, because it was interesting, because I've read back over our text messages. I've actually gone back to a couple of friends I had on Facebook that their initial reaction was one thing, and then a couple of days later, something else has changed. For example, real quickly, there was a person that I'm friends with. I'm gonna paraphrase the paragraph he wrote, but it started out with, "I've lost all respect for Will Smith in those 20 seconds." And basically just shit on him for that whole paragraph. Yeah. Main thing was, I lost all respect for him. I would have never done that, whatever. And my comment that I put on most of the ones I saw was, to be honest with you, if I was in Will's shoes and I saw my wife's heartbroken face at the joke, I don't know how I would have reacted. I don't even know how most of us are sitting here saying we know how we would react. We have no idea. We weren't there. We don't know what's going on. We don't know the scenarios beforehand. Yeah. We don't know. But that was mostly my argument, was I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
And then that same individual, what was that, Sunday? So yesterday or Tuesday, they made another post, and they said, I wanted to clarify my thoughts. And it was very interesting that now he was like, you know what? As somebody that has suffered a mental breakdown and a mental health, I think it's something that we need to put a microscope on. And I was like, so...
#growth.
Yeah, and I think I keep talking about it. If there's one thing that we all haven't learned from good old 2020, is mental health is probably the most important thing that none of us take care of.
Absolutely.
And I hope all three of them can talk it out. I'm assuming that's probably going to his. I'm with you, Nick. I can't wait till the next Chris Rock's special comes out because it's going to be good.
It's going to be epic.
I also can't wait for the next Dave Chappelle because he's going to bring that up. So
yeah, man. Yeah, the comedians have all had Chris Rock's back because they're going to have to deal with like you said, he had somebody tried to come up on stage on his first show.
What's going to happen to now? Yeah, that opens the doors.
It's going to be okay to go and slap a comedian. Like when me and Whitney went to a comedy show, and comedians like to do crowd work, and we were at Paul and Derek's, which if anybody's never been there, it's a great place. It's a black-owned business, and it's mostly black people in there. We were the only two. Actually, one of the guys brought a white girl with him. But there was 3 white people in there, and 2 of them were me and my wife. And the comedian was like completely heckling us the whole time. Like, oh, I want to thank Becky and Derek for showing up today. Like,
it's great.
It's fucking funny. Like, it was. And if we get to a place where a comedian can't do their job without having to worry about getting up and getting slapped, like, it's going to affect the product. It's going to change the way we do comedy. And I think most of them, they're just going to get extra security and they're going to say whatever the fuck they want to. And I hope they do.
Yeah. I shout out to comedians now because your job just got even harder.
For sure.
Yeah.
So we actually didn't come to an agreement on what we were going to do for our specialty segment. I think we should maybe do in line with what we just talked about because that's a moment we're never going to forget. I thought we could do top 5 moments in history that we just know we're never going to forget. And these are not things that happen directly to us, like i.e. birth of your child. That doesn't count. And I put here, I think 9/11 is a given, so let's leave that one off the list and see if we can come up with moments that like we're just never gonna forget. Did anybody think about anything?
Go first.
Did anybody think about that while we were in the beginning stages of starting the show? Are you telling me you guys didn't read my note?
No, I did.
I read it.
I always laugh.
One of the things was reconciliation of Leah Thompson discussion, but I wanted Khan to be here for that, so we'll push that.
We still have to say something because people are going to still think Khan is an asshole until the next episode.
But he might be. I don't know. And I don't think he minds. Like that's why I love him on the show. Like whether I agree with him or not, I want people who are going to speak their truth, and we have the right to say, "Hey, we feel this way about what you said," and I think we should at some point. But yeah, I wanted him to be here for that. What about Never Have I Ever? I didn't look up anything.
My top 5 is going to be tough because I always laugh at the little joke that comes up, and it's like us millennials are tired. We've been through 2 recessions and major wars.
It doesn't have to be negative things, though. Yeah, it doesn't have to be negative things. Or we can just play another trivia game and give away something. I don't care.
Something that didn't happen to you? Like, yourself? Oh, God.
I mean, I made the outline, so obviously I have mine. Maybe if you guys hear mine, it'll make you think of something.
Does it have to be a big thing or just like anything?
Anything that's happened that you're like, man, I remember when that happened, what I was doing, and it.
The same aspect as 9/11, but not as dark.
No.
Yeah, I want to leave 9/11 off the list because I feel like that's a layup. Like that's.
Well, this one's kind of dark too.
It doesn't have. It's okay if it's dark. I'm just saying 9/11. Nobody's gonna forget that. Like,
so I used to work at Raw Sushi.
Wait, are you going now?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do an ad first. I'm sorry.
Oh,
okay. I apologize.
Fine.
This is because that's going to be our specialty segment. I apologize. Let's get a Good for Dudes ad real quick, and then Naomi's going to tell us about the Raw Sushi story. What's up, guys? It's Nick Stevenson again. Fellas, this time I'm talking specifically to you, and I want you to know it's okay. You don't have to be embarrassed. I know you want your skin to look good. Now, you haven't been taking care of your skin for years, and now every time you go to the coffee shop, they're offering you the senior discount. Now, maybe you've wanted to take care of your skin, but you just don't want to shop for products where your wife or your girlfriend gets her stuff. Well, fellas, why not just get your own stuff? All you got to do is go to goodfordudes.com. That's good, the number 4, dudes.com. That's right. Good for Dudes offers a skincare product that is designed for men. Best part is it can be shipped right to your house, fast and easy. You want something to help prevent signs of aging like wrinkles and dark spots? Try WTF. What's that? Simple. It just means wear on the face. After washing your face in the morning, apply WTF. After showering in the evening, apply WTF. If you've already got signs of aging, it's cool because this product will minimize those. And there's so much more. Just go see for yourself at goodfordudes.com. Once again, good, the number 4, dudes, DUDES.com. You want a promo code? Sure. Use the initials to this show, SLMAS. Smells like middle-aged spirit. And you'll get 10% off your order. What are you waiting for, Gramps? I mean, buddy. It's okay, guys. If you want to take care of your skin, just get your own stuff at goodfordudes.com. Alrighty, can you feel the anticipation of this story from Naomi?
It's not going to be a good story.
This is a moment that she will never forget. She says she don't know if she can come up with 5, because I just kind of wanted to list off 5 things really fast, like not necessarily in detail, but she says she has to tell this story. So
well,
I am,
it's not too long of a story. I'm not a great storyteller.
I
if
am
you
in
haven't,
anticipation of what you're gonna say. This is a moment you'll never forget.
So it is definitely a moment I'll never forget. I remember exactly. What I was wearing and where I was and like the atmospheric conditions. I mean, it was so. No.
Oh, wrong cue. I misread all that. My bad.
What were you wearing, Naomi?
What were you wearing?
I was coming home from work, so I was wearing my raw uniform.
To me, that just sounds like you're wearing raw sushi, like RAW.
Okay.
On your body. Was it that kind of sushi place?
That was a different night.
Oh.
But
Let me cue that back up again.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was leaving raw sushi, and so I was cocktailing. So it was, I left Westheimer at like 4 in the morning. So it was probably about 4:30 in the morning. And I'm back on our side of town at 225 by like Firestone. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, and that time of night, like, there's not too many cars on the road. It's right before shift change. Like, it's not too packed at all. So I'm driving, and right over the hill, there's a car on the opposite side going the wrong direction.
Oh, shit.
And I remember I was like, there's no one around, and I was like trying to like honk. I don't know what I thought that would do. Mm-hmm. And right when that happened, I was so scared. I was like following this guy because he's like next to me. I'm on the right side of the road. He's next to me driving, and we go up another hill, and I'm like trying to flash my lights in case anyone's coming.
Yeah.
And it happened. Head-on collision right there next to me. It was right under the street lights, and I can like remember like the glass spraying into the air.
Oh,
and it
God.
was just, I was
That was
mortified.
like a frozen moment in time.
And the worst part about it is that at the time, my phone was broken. I did not have a phone. There was literally like nothing I could have done. And so it was, and I never even saw a story on the news or anything, but I will never forget that because it scarred me for life.
Were the people
man.
okay? Because you said it was dark.
I don't.
You
think
just
there's
drove off.
any-
You're like, I don't want to look.
I don't think there's any way. I saw
You
someone.
didn't stay and.
No, I
Did you
saw.
witness something and left?
There was. What do you want me to do?
Cold-blooded.
Oh,
No,
man.
I saw that.
What's the statute of limitations on that? Can you look that up?
Yeah.
I am way past it, but there was someone that pulled over behind me.
Yeah, Naomi trying to get those cops there.
Oh my gosh, yo, it was scary. There was nothing. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see how anyone would have survived that. I mean, I must have been going at least 72 because I don't go less than that on the freeways.
Do you need to go to therapy and talk about this? That seems pretty traumatic.
Nope, I just talked about it just now.
Okay, there you go. Podcast therapy, baby.
Boom.
Josh, give me, it doesn't have to be 5. Give me like some moments that are forever. Like you're going to remember that moment forever.
Mine would be...
Are we going to put Will Smith slapping Chris Rock on that list?
No.
I feel like it's on there.
No,
Maybe not the top 5, but that's definitely on the list.
It's on the list, but the Righteous Gemstones I was watching was way better than that. But mine would be last year when the Astros went to the World Series. Me and my lovely wife were at game
5 for the
Five.
ALCS.
of the ALCS, and I got to experience a playoff berth game, or a World Series berth game, which was
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
You watched the trophy ceremony and everything?
I did. We stayed through the whole thing. I think we were the last people there. It was
That's cool.
It was cool. And for those of you that don't know, when me and my wife got together, baseball was probably the furthest thing from him. I liked baseball. It wasn't something I followed.
Yeah.
My dad and mom would take me to the games when their jobs would give them tickets, like most jobs back in the day. And most of those tickets were right at the top where you could almost touch the Astrodome roof. So, me...
The rainbow section.
The rainbow section, yeah. But
actually, there was one little strip above the rainbow section. You remember that? I don't know if people were allowed to sit there.
25 cents? Like,
there was like
cheap.
one little strip of like gray seats or something.
Oh, at the very top?
At the very, very top. I don't know if people were allowed to sit there.
No, they weren't. They were, I can't remember what they're called now. I'll forget it.
You
But
probably had to get oxygen to sit up there, dude.
yeah,
Like,
but the one thing that's really cool about me and my wife's marriage is we grew the love of baseball in 2017, which would be one of my other top 5 is watching the Astros go to the World Series and win. And ever since that season, even before we did the World Series, baseball now is like in our household. Like I don't even. This is coming from somebody. I'm gonna get so much hate when I say this out loud. Coming from somebody that has a Dallas Cowboys tattoo, I watch more Astros games at this point than I do watch Dallas, which is
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Sports is especially like in 2017, Harvey was there. In 2020, it was COVID. No, we went in 2019, which is right before COVID. And then last year,
I'll never forget Harvey. I live in Dickinson, so the stuff that I was seeing was the stuff. The stuff that I was seeing firsthand was the stuff that most people were watching on the TV screen.
Right.
Which
that was a crazy time, man.
Harvey was surreal, honestly.
Like,
the Bayou City. Yeah.
It was
the people who live here get it, but like, have you ever driven on like the 610 45 exchange as you're doing it and think about the fact that entire
I have
motherfucker was underwater?
You see like the signs, and I'm like, God,
you look up
so
at how
much
high,
water.
like
Yes.
that is dude, that has to be like 50, 60 feet of water.
Yeah.
Like,
it was
that is insane. That shit was completely underwater. And when you drive under it, you're like, God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. If there was ever one thing in my life that extremely humbled me and made me grateful for everything that I have, that would be that time. I remember.
God, I have some really dark ones, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. So you know this. Working in the plants, they don't care if it's flooded or not. They're asking what time you're going to be at work.
Yeah.
And I remember having to drive down 517 once it was clear and seeing everybody's life by the street. And I had that will be forever etched in my mind.
Piles of debris, like taller than their homes.
Yeah, like everything they had in their life. Like, even if you would say they were 25-year-olds, 25 years worth of life out by the street. It was
it was absolutely insane.
I'll never forget that forever.
And on a lighter note, like, we got really fortunate, and I got to see for people who don't live in Houston, if you're on the outside, P. Scott, shout out to you in Alaska, and I know we have some viewers in other parts of the country. But I want you guys to know that when Harvey hit, the feds didn't show up for like a week. Like,
did they show up at all?
Minimum. Yeah, I was about to say.
The feds didn't show up for a week, and we had the city back up and running for the most part. As soon as the water subsided, like, we had the shit back up and running with in a couple of days.
It was Houston helping Houston,
and the humanitarian effort. That's what I'm saying. Like, we got a chance to donate to a church, one of the churches in Pasadena, and I'm talking about rows of cars, like, as far as you could see, pulling up. And I mean, the unfortunate part about that is sometimes there can be too much giving, and there's probably a lot of that stuff that went to waste, unfortunately. And I know they try to do their best to not allow that to happen. But I mean, to see the way that Houston came together, and I always said this at the time, whenever you're pulling somebody out of the water and you're reaching your hand out to them, you didn't stop and be like, wait a minute, who'd you vote for? Yeah. Do you pray? Who do you pray to? Or what's your religion? Like, you saw a human being sitting in the water, and I'm talking about of all races, all religions, all creeds. It didn't matter. You saw somebody in need, and I was really proud of our city at that time, man, because I've lived in places where that probably wouldn't have. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've lived in some places where like
And
that probably wouldn't have gone down that way.
I'll go a step further, and this may be a whole nother topic, but this is why I always get very defensive about the whole 2017 World Series. I think at that time, the city needed that the most. I don't care if you're a Yankees fan. I don't care if you're a Dodgers fan. This city had already been through hell. They saw their team make it to the World Series, and for them
It was
to
a good
win
distraction.
it here. The other thing that I always remember is a picture of somebody sitting in their house, no sheetrock, nothing, no insulation. They're sitting on an ice chest, and they have their TV with bunny ears, and they're watching the World Series.
Yeah.
That was the only hope in that picture, was watching their home team bring home the World Series trophy.
It was a little bit. It was a little bit of joy.
Yes, I will always. I don't care what happened. The city at that time needed it the most.
So 27 World Series is on my list. It's like one of those moments. Like I've been watching the Astros since I was a little kid, and 2005. Like I wasn't a kid. I was a very young adult, and like that whole thing broke my heart. From Pujols in the NLCS, like I literally, this is embarrassing. Like I was so mad and so hurt. Like I got teary eyed, and like my daughter's mother, who was my wife at the time, she like did not understand. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I was like, you know, it was Pujols over Lidge. You know, that ball's probably still flying. If the roof had been open, like that ball would still be going right now. So like I thought about all the playoff losses. I thought about 1999 when we got Randy Johnson and we were supposed to win the World Series and we lost in the first round to fucking San Diego because it was some janky schedule where what was the Padres pitcher's name? I'm blanking on Kevin Brown pitched game 1 and 3. Like how the fuck?
Yeah.
And that it's a 5-game series and he pitched game 1 and 3 and just completely. I'm gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings, but like the 90s and 2000s Astros were just fucking choke artists. Biggio, Bagwell, they never did anything in the playoffs. I love them, you know, regular season they were great, but so to finally overcome that hump, I remember watching TV. I didn't get to go to the game or anything, but my wife's watching it with me. She fell asleep. Like at the last out, I'm like so excited. I'm like, but I'm still trying to be quiet. And she kind of wakes up and she's like, "Did I miss it?" And I was like, "Yeah, you missed it." She's like, "Oh man."
Oh, I remember where we were on 45 South, going to the academy right there behind.
Yep.
Oh, you were going to get your shirt already?
Right behind Fry's.
See, people like you, because that's the shit that baseball is a very superstitious sport, and you don't. All those people who are lining up outside, like we have not had the final out yet. If they had scored 6 runs in the 9th inning and won that game, I'd have been blaming people just like you.
We were in the truck with the thing on, with the game on, listening to the whole time.
Yeah.
And the catch was made as we were pulling into Academy.
That's cool.
And watching everybody, like, because obviously everyone's out there in the cold holding their phones because this is October, you know. Cold
if you guys would have jinxed our World Series.
No.
You remember when Greg Abbott jinxed the Astros in 2015?
Yes, I do.
That's why I still hate that guy. Anyways,
That's
but
the
yeah,
only reason why
27
you hate that guy?
2017 World Series. Some are minor sports related. Rockets back-to-back championships. I was a little kid, bro. Like, you don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, I was a little kid, and everybody at my school was Bulls fans, and I hated them. And, like, I was the only kid who was the nerd who was a Rockets fan because being a Bulls fan was cool back then. And, I mean, dude, like, and then, watching the parade on TV, like, it's funny when you're a little kid, the stuff that you remember. Like, I'm never going to forget that. Man, I guess I should have ended with the happy ones because there's some dark ones. The Sandy Hook shooting, my daughter was the same age as those kids in the same grade. I think it was first graders. Bro, that shit, fucking, just thinking about it now, like, that shit ate me the fuck up. That shit ate me the fuck up. And it's ironic that I read today, because, those parents, they all filed a lawsuit against Alex Jones the InfoWars guy.
Yeah.
Because he had been putting out this conspiracy that all those parents were method actors. I'm sorry, not method actors, crisis actors, and that it was all a hoax, and that all of the only reason that was the left wing trying to do gun control or whatever. And can you imagine, like, my daughter lived in Alabama and I lived in Texas at the time, so I didn't get to see her. And like when that shit happened, I'm like calling her mom, like I wanted to talk to her, like I just need to hear her voice. That shit was crazy, man. And I'm never gonna forget that moment, unfortunately. But I'm so glad that these people, I think Alex Jones tried to settle with them for like $1,600 each. And they were like, yeah, go fuck yourself. Like we're about to get in your pocket, bro. This dude made like $165 million just on his supplements last year. So those people are about to get broke off in their defamation suits.
So you said that one. One for me, which still gives me anxiety every once in a while, would be the Dark Knight shooting.
That one
Aurora.
too. Dude, when I went to go see The Dark Knight, I couldn't help but think about that while I was in the movie theater, and I was like, because some of the reports had come out about where they were in the movie when that shit happened. So like when it got to that part, like it was a surreal feeling.
Yeah,
Like
I'll never forget that because
even when I watch that movie now, I get that feeling like, oh
yeah,
that was tough. Because there was children in that theater too. Which why I don't want to do that. I don't want to victim blame. Like why would you have? I think there was a child that was in a baby car seat that ended up getting shot and killed, and that movie was like a midnight showing or some shit like that. Like why you'd have your kid there? But I mean that's neither here nor there. But yeah, what's the other one? Oh, I'm gonna lump these three together. When Michael Jackson died, when Prince died, and I'll throw Kobe in there. That shit was, Kobe was. Yeah, Whitney texted me. She's like, "Did you hear Kobe died?" And I was like, "Kobe who?" I don't know Kobe. Definitely not Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I remember that one. That one and Prince. There's been very few musical artists. I
cried when Prince died. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it real. I cried when Prince died.
Hashtag greatest Super Bowl ever.
I cried with Heath Ledger died, and the Crocodile Hunter.
Oh, Crocodile Hunter.
That one.
See, as a music fan, I when I saw the news, Prince, just like this past week, if y'all didn't know, the drummer for Foo Fighters.
Yep.
We still don't know what happened, but
I don't know who he is. Like, but yeah, I can imagine if you're a fan of them. Like, that shit's like shocking.
For me, I don't. There's very few artists. Going to music artists.
I love when we go on tangents. Yes.
I think one of the ones, Prince is up there. Prince is definitely up there.
Are we getting any love in the chat?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure we get to them too.
Yeah, we have a couple. We'll go back up.
You hadn't finished.
Prince is definitely on my list. For me, one of the artists that still stings to me this day because this is going to sound cheesy, but music is music. This person's music helped me through a lot when I was younger, going through my teenage years. When I got the news that Chester Bennington died, that was probably the most gut-wrenching punch I had ever heard.
Especially because it was suicide like that.
But what aggravated me was people were like, "Oh my God, I didn't know he was so depressed." And I was like, "I don't know what Linkin Park albums you've been listening to, but clearly not Linkin Park."
Even now, when I hear that music, it hits home because you know that he was struggling with depression and mental health the entire time, and he could not conquer it in the end, and that it breaks my heart.
It haunts me the photo that his wife posted the day before he committed suicide, and he is laughing.
He looked
and on
so
the beach
happy,
and with his family, and it just
I know.
I mean, it sounds cheesy. We don't know these people. I don't know Chester, but if I were to ever
the three that I mentioned are just the ones that like I remember where I was when I found out Michael Jackson died. Like, I was a huge Michael Jackson fan as a kid, and even as an adult.
We've seen the dances.
Yeah. And then Prince, I cried when Prince died. Like
I did too. I texted my mom. I was
Prince.
like,
Yeah,
"Did you know Prince just died?"
Yeah, which is so weird because like I don't know him, but like you feel Robin Williams too was another one that shit ate me up.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like Robin
Another
Williams was one of those dudes like you felt like you knew him.
But
just
it's like what Josh was saying. It's like these people, these musicians, actors, whomever they may be, they help us through times. Whatever we're going through. So it feels. They have a special place in our hearts.
Yeah, and most comedy is born through pain. I've heard that said a lot, and that was with the Robin Williams thing. That was big time. God, why are mine so dark?
I'm glad you just brought up Robin Williams because it just popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
The single greatest cameo that he's ever done. Have you ever seen his cameo in Friends?
No.
So he has a cameo in Friends, and it's a cold opening, and it's the Friends crew. They're all sitting there, and something's happened to Monica. Something's happened. She's trying to sell it, or trying to sell the group. And Billy Crystal and Robin Williams walk through the cafe door, and the
iconic duo.
Oh, and if you read on this, everything that they are about to say is 100% unscripted.
Yeah,
they said, "Hey, walk in. The cast are going to react to you. This is your scene." Yeah. And they go in, and Robin Williams orders a coffee, and he's talking about how he thinks his wife is cheating on him with a gynecologist, and Billy Crystal's like, "How you know it's a gynecologist?" "Oh, because he has access." And like it's this back and forth banter, and finally it's revealed that Billy Crystal is the gynecologist, and he's like, "It's you?" He goes, we're done," and they walk, and it is the single greatest.
That's amazing.
Cameo. If you haven't seen it, it is the.
I guess that's worth putting on an episode of Friends.
Oh no!
I was about to say I've maybe watched
I love Friends.
I guess it's worth putting on an episode of Friends.
I'll have to show you when it's over. You will laugh, but it is.
Okay, I don't know how many I mentioned, but there is. I think I had one more.
Don't worry, I'm gonna scroll. You have some time. I'll scroll up in these chats, and we'll read some of these for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I mean, I guess there's a lot, but
I would say like the ITC fires.
Oh shit!
Ooh,
my husband was working that whole time.
Speaking of shit we've gone through in the last 3-4 years,
he works
clearly Nick has not thought about it.
He worked like half a mile from that, and he had like just started his shifts when it happened. So, I mean, he was required to stay there. They were on lockdown half the time. I mean, it was.
You got me fucked up.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I didn't. I mean, obviously, I work at ITC, so I couldn't go.
Did not sleep like that whole time, and then that was coming off a spring break. So then the kids didn't go back to school forever. The next year,
COVID happens for spring break.
So then I was like, man,
spring break sucked for like 3 years in a row.
For real, we had fun this last spring break. I'm not, knock
I
on
would
wood.
say, let me put on this list, and I know I said not something that happened to you, but. It's really fascinating. I encourage you, if you guys go back and listen to episode 14, 15 of the show. It's just funny to look back, like when we didn't know what COVID was. We quarantined for those episodes. So Chris Clark was on the phone. Like we didn't even want to come in each other's house. Yeah. That's how and anytime we had a guest, they were on the phone. Like that's how we didn't know what was happening. That's how the world was so panicked at that time. And I remember having a conversation with our guests and we're like, hey man, we're going to get through this. We just got to stick together, which I think none of us anticipated that the pandemic would be as long as it was, And a lot of times now I wonder like how much of that, I mean, I think what a lot of people were mad that we shut down, but I think America was in, let's be better safe than sorry, because we didn't really understand.
I think that was a lot of the world.
Right. And a lot of people who I don't want to go off on another tangent, but people are like, oh, the CDC, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Information, they're changing their mind every other week. Well, that's because we didn't know what the fuck this was. And as you do research, you get a better understanding. And we, that's why we went from, you got to quarantine for 15 days. So I think now if you get COVID, you just wait 3 days and you can go back to work. But it took getting to know the shit. But I'll never forget, still trying to do the show. And it was just a weird time. The whole COVID period, it's one of those times we're going to look back on and be like, that was just wild shit, man.
Yeah.
The whole world shut the fuck down. think about that. Like everything just completely shut the fuck down.
No,
I've never been a part of anything like that.
When the world shut down, like it was a few short months after that, and like I royally checked out. Like
Yeah.
I stopped doing work. I stopped talking to friends. I was done.
The fucking kids were home,
Yeah,
driving you up the walls.
Yeah, I checked out. I stayed in bed or on the couch the whole day.
The moms who stayed home and taught their kids, I want to give y'all a very special shout out, my wife included, because that shit. I work a DuPont schedule, so sometimes I was the teacher, and I'm sure my kids hated when I was at home being teacher.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, "Where the fuck is mom?" Because it was completely different. Like she had a schedule. They're like, "You're gonna eat breakfast at this time. You're gonna do math at this time. You're gonna do English." Me, I was like, "All the shit's in the fridge. Y'all know where it's at. I'm going to play Call of Duty."
I tried doing that, and I had little stations set up and everything, and it was like my daughter was in kindergarten. So
God bless
they would
you.
send assignments, and she couldn't read the directions. She didn't. I had to explain everything to her. I had to go through all of that with her. And my son, he would just be real quick and be like, "Okay, I'm done." And I'm like, "Bullshit. Let me see that." And he was like, "C all the way down." And I'm like, "You piece of shit."
Hey, that gives you a 70% chance of passing.
Oh God.
He read that story too, huh? If I'd have had a kindergartner, I'm not gonna lie, we would have been back to old school kindergarten. Like, I'm gonna feed you some graham crackers, and you're gonna watch The Fox and the Hound.
Seriously,
and then take a nap.
All the wine.
Yeah.
9:30 in the morning. I've got no shame. Come at me.
What you got on the chat? You got anything to share?
I want to make sure I get the name correct. What was you and Ricardo's friend's name that recently passed away? Deuce. So Ricardo put the moment Deuce left my house for the last time, being the last person to see him before he passed away a couple of hours later.
Yeah.
Mr.
That shit was crazy when he told me that, like, and the fact that Deuce left his hat, Deuce did not have his hat. Like, Deuce always had his hat on. And when I saw that he had left his hat at Ricky's house that night, that shit hit different, man.
Yeah.
That's one I won't forget too. That's insane.
Chopping up with P. Scott said it's like the Saints after Katrina. When they were referring to the Astros.
Yep.
That NFL season after that was very emotional.
That was,
for them.
I would say, that was probably more devastating than Harvey, because there's people who live here in Houston now that just they could never go back.
Yeah.
They could never go back. Like, they had to stay here.
There's still houses there that still have giant X's on them. Like that's
Condemned homes.
Yeah.
We got another one from Ricardo. It says the excitement that every time he told his mom they were going to an Astros game.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
We got another one.
Ricky and his mom were like, first of all, his mom is one of the sweetest people ever met in this world, and Ricky's one of us, man. He's a mama's boy too. So
Hey, I love mama's boys.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Mama's boys make good husbands.
They do. Got another one that says I'll never forget Music City Musical as a Bills fan.
The Music City Miracle.
Yep.
Yeah, that didn't go your way, P. Scott. Unfortunately. Yeah, I bet. Ooh, man, we could do this, like heartbreaks, like sports heartbreaks, or like just times you were. Oh man.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I want to thank everybody in the chat. I saw there was a lot in the chat. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and participating in the
It
conversation.
makes it so much.
It would be really cool if some of y'all would call too. But yeah.
We didn't do that.
No, I'm just saying, like, you guys can call the Spirit Line if you guys really want to be heard. In the
Clover
future.
just joined the chat.
There he is.
There
He's
he
like, "Where's my
is.
coffee?" Hey, Clover, I literally drove past where I was planning to meet you to give you that coffee. Little behind the curtains here, and I looked in and I was like, "Oh shit, I brought a sugar and not a sugar free, but I still got you, bro."
Did you just drive past him and not say anything to him?
No, I told him.
He was like,
No.
"Damn, I got the wrong coffee. I'm not even going to see him."
No, I didn't leave him hanging. So when I on the way to Dallas, I told him I was going to hit him up on the way back, and I wanted to meet him at like the Cypress Wood, or I can't remember the name of the
Oh
street.
man, he from my side of town.
Yeah. He's
Now we got people in the chat asking what the number is, Nick.
Are we forwarded? Did I ever unforward?
I don't know. Here,
Guys,
I'm gonna
okay.
throw the
I want you
graphic up there.
I want you to take down the number. Go ahead and throw the graphic. I don't think our phones are forwarded tonight because we did not anticipate any calls. But the next time we do a show and you guys want to get in on the conversation, And or if you want to get a chance to win some stuff, like we want to do contests.
Save
like
that number in
you
your
guys
phone.
call the spirit line. Save it in your phone. Put it on speed dial. That's an old reference. Is speed dial even a thing?
It is. Save it as booty call and see what happens. There you go.
I don't think speed dial's a thing.
It is.
I mean, on the phone
What's
like
speed
that.
dial?
Yeah, it's speed dial.
What is
It's not
speed
on your.
dial?
It's not on your cell phone, is it?
Just dialing
Speed
it
dial is
twice?
on your
Favorite.
cell phone.
Favorite.
That's not
Speed
speed
dial.
dial.
That's speed dial.
You know what speed dial is?
Hey, look here.
I mean, all of your phone numbers are in a cell phone or speed dial now. Like back
Yeah.
in the day, you can only punch in numbers, so you had to save a couple. Oh, that's.
Oh, that's the phone.
It looks like we're forwarded. Oh no.
No, we're definitely
Nope.
not forwarded.
Hang
Definitely
on.
not forward.
Hang on 1 second.
Who's calling?
Who the hell calling?
Here, this is insane. Tell him you call him back after I forward the phone.
This is Smells Like Midnight Spirit.
Anyways,
How am I a director call?
Hey,
but yeah,
we're
on
gonna
this,
forward the phones, and we'll have you call right back in.
yeah, let's get this caller in really quick.
Right. Yes, same number. Yes.
That sounds like Clover James. You're gonna talk shit about me not having his coffee. Oh my god. Okay, what's your number again? Do you not want to give that out?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get that number for you.
Give me a mic back.
There we go.
Okay, sorry guys. I've just forwarded the phones. Whoever, I think that was Clover James calling about this coffee. But anyways, guys, if you're on the chat, everybody who's listening, like we freaking love you. Thank you so much for supporting us. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. We want to hear more from you guys. When you call in on the Spirit line and when you chat, it makes you part of the crew. Like you are a member of the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast. And so you guys, please continue to do that. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Share. Tell your friends about the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast, please. That's what we need you guys to do. And that's how we're going to keep this thing going, expanding, hopefully growing our audience and being able to give you better content.
And let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Get on
I
the
mean-
Spirit Sniffers page. Talk all your shit. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And
Yep.
and you guys go listen to Chopping It Up with P. Scott. There's our call. Chopping It Up with P. Scott. And he did a very good podcast on the whole Will and Chris Rock thing as well. He talks about sports. He talks about life. It's a very good podcast. His voice, silky smooth. I wish he lived in Houston. He'd be part of our show too. Silky smooth. So do we have this caller yet?
No, I think he hung up.
Or maybe you hung up on him.
I didn't see anything pop up. We're connected, so whenever you want to call.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're wrapping up the show. So maybe call next week.
I don't know. Let's see.
I promise you I'll get your coffee, Clover. And if anybody else wants coffee, once again, we're delivering that locally. So that's a good segue. Let me wrap this thing up by telling you once again and reminding you the ways you can support the show are to shop at the Spirit Swag Store, spiritswagstore.com. You can go and leave us a tip in our tip jar, which once again you'll find in the description of and the show notes of either the video that you're watching or the podcast that you're listening to. Or you can once again buy the coffee. Do we have this caller?
You're on the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast.
Mr. Clover James, are you here to verbally slap me in the face?
Actually, I'm sending Will Smith over.
There he is.
I don't know, man. I mean, Chris Rock seemed like, he stood there pretty solid. Maybe Will Smith doesn't hit as hard as we thought he did. I mean, he was a fake ass Ollie. He wasn't the real thing. What's going on with you, man? Thank
He
you
was
so much.
just trying to process whether or not it was a joke or not.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm just saying, like, if I hit somebody, I want them to fall and like start crying. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel like I didn't do shit. You know what it reminded me of? You ever have that dream where you're trying to punch the shit out of somebody, but you can't?
Nope, that's just you.
You've never had that? Okay, guys,
like
chat,
you. Yeah.
chat, help me out. Somebody's had a dream where you're trying to hit somebody, but like your arms feel like wet noodles and you just can't do it. Am I the only one who's had that dream?
That's not the only time my hands feel like wet noodles.
Isn't that the dream where you're trying to punch somebody and then you
Jesus
don't even have
Christ.
hands?
Yeah.
You don't even have
You ain't
hands?
never done the stranger?
Hey, I don't know what's up.
And then you try to headbutt them, and then it's like, what the
Right.
I said
It
you
was
ain't never
either
done the stranger?
it was either the stranger. Look, it was either a bad dream or a bad acid trip, right? Something like that. I don't know.
I think if this conversation says anything, is that we all need therapists in our dreams.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I am an advocate of therapy. So I want to apologize to you, Clover. I am going to get your coffee to you. Matter of fact, I'm going to text you when we're done with the show, and let's figure out when we can link up and get that coffee delivered. You know what's funny is that was it yesterday? You guys were like, I think we have people who we owe merch to that we haven't given to. And Clover's the only one, by the way. I've given everyone else everything that they've
That's
earned.
good. If we owe you merch, let us know.
No, that's bullshit. Because people are gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you were supposed to give me that $60 shirt that Josh has. You told me you'd give me that for free."
Yeah, I'm the
That
only
shit
one
ain't
that has the
happening.
shirt.
That shit ain't happening.
Actually, there is one person that doesn't have their merch yet.
Who's that? Kayla?
Exactly.
Oh yeah. We're working on that. Don't worry. We're working on that.
We'll be right back.
All right, guys, before we get way too off on a tangent, we hope you'll join us again next week. We are hoping to have a special guest. I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to jinx it, but it's going to be a very good episode. We appreciate you guys joining us again. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Stephen Terry Pest Elimination. I want to thank Upscale Roofing, and I want to thank goodfordudes.com. You guys go check out those companies. They're all wonderful, and you tell them that the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast sent you. Oh, Clover's gonna go out with us.
Oh, Clover's
matter of
going
fact,
out with us.
Yeah, Clover's gonna go out with us. This is what we're gonna do. Let's get back to the old school outro, okay? For the sake of all that we love in this studio. So for our wonderful producer of this podcast, Joshua Beard, my name's Nick Stevenson.
And I'm Naomi Richardson.
Clover.
You've been listening to the Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast. For more show content, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to visit spiritswagstore.com for everything you need to rep your favorite podcast in style.